Hello. Okay. I think everything is ready. And I hope I think correctly this time. But anyway, yeah, today we're playing Our Life again. Because honestly, I am kind of tired and I didn't want to play a game where I had to think. So there was a solution, because I basically only have to read 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5, no, 6 DLCs. Oh wait, one of them is the free name one. Eh. Honestly, I might download those DLCs after I have completed the game. I'm gonna complete it first and then I will see if I wanna buy some DLCs and maybe play those. Because like I'm saving at every opportunity anyway. So I could just go back to every era and just play that era again, I guess. Or continue from the childhood and play it again. I don't know. Or if it adds a lot of new content, I'm gonna do a second playthrough, but then there's probably gonna be some kind of gap between the playthroughs so that I can forget a bit of the story. Because then it's more interesting to see. Honestly, the music from this starting menu is so calming because I have done other games like Monster Prom, and I for sometimes or sometimes not for sometimes, but sometimes I have like the starting menu open for like 15 minutes or longer while I'm setting up stream. And sometimes I had to turn off like the sounds in the game because hearing the same music over and over again can drive someone slightly insane. Well, not really the same music because I listen to the same song over and over again, so that's not really the problem. I think for probably Monster Prom that the way the sounds were too similar, so it sounded like a 3-second song playing over and over again, or just focused every time when the same bit came on. I don't know. Why is it not going to the game? Hold up. Nope, it's going to the game. Okay. For a moment, I feared I had to fix something in the stream while I was live, because I didn't test that before stream. I'm just assuming like the screen capture works. And maybe that's not a good thing to assume then, I guess. Okay, continue? Okay, we just end up here. I almost pressed on and then summer ended. That would not have been great. I mean, I have saved it, so I could have just ignored it, I guess. Or, yeah, load the old save. Anyway, I was thinking that we just continue with like Sandcastle Fireflies, and that every time we have like these moments, that we just go from like left to right and do them all. Because I don't know, I kind of forgot if they did something special. So, well, you can like read more stories, but I don't know if it influenced the story much later. So I don't really know if playing them does something. Maybe the like guide manual how to play this game thing in the start told me what it did, but I kinda forgot, to be honest. I knew they were there, but I don't know what it said exactly. Anyway, the sandcastles. Cove wasn't able to do many things that summer. When you, him, and Shiloh sat out on the shoreline one bright morning, you could tell he wanted to be in the water. But there was no way he'd be swimming anytime soon, not with this cast. The wave washed a single shell to the shore, glittering and blue. Another reminder of the places he couldn't go. From what you'd heard about Cove's life so far, in tiny pieces and fragments, you could tell that he'd do anything to be able to get the cast off. I mean, kid, I get it. Cast can be very annoying. It's coming from someone who has never worn a cast or anything similar like that. But I have a hard time. Like, if I hurt my hand and I cannot, like, hold things or move it too much, you know, I'm just gonna suffer through the pain and do things because I am very impatient and I want to do things. So, probably if I break something, I don't think I've ever broken a bone in my body, but I hope I didn't just jinx myself and I break something next week. That wouldn't be nice, but I would probably be terrible with the cast because I would be way too impatient to wait for my bones to heal again. Like, make a pact with a witch or something just to get it off his arm. Oh, I think... Is the music louder? I want it a bit softer. Oh, I think I made the same mistake as last time, where the music in, like, the sounds were slightly softer in the menu. So I think I quite made the sounds harder because the music in the menu was softer. But in the game it's, I don't know. And now the music is just gone, okay. You thought about how his summer last year must have been totally different from this, with his old home and his mom and dad. But now he was here, and you and Shiloh and Lizzie and everyone else. Oh, with you. And he couldn't even go in the sea. This town wasn't bad. It had all your favorite things in it. But sitting there on the same beach you'd grown up on, you could understand that not everybody else felt the same about Sunset Bird as you did. You watched him from the corner of your eye, quietly, and he finally said aloud what you had been pondering. I wish I could go in. The water? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You're gonna be able to do it soon. Cove only sighed in response. Apparently, soon wasn't soon enough. It's so pretty, the ocean. And huge. There could be anything out there, like mermaids. Okay, I like the mermaid thing. When he said there could be anything out there, my mind went to the horror part and not to the, like, fantasy part. Which maybe I should have thought about. Yeah, mermaids, chill. I wish you didn't have a cast. I don't really care. Swimming might be fun if we could. I'm fine here on the land. Mermaids aren't real. Swimming might be fun if we could, or I wish you didn't have a cast. I feel like this one is just gonna hurt his feelings. Like it's just rubbing salt into the wound. And this one too. It's like either you don't care, I'm fine, I don't want to swim kind of thing. Or it's like, oh yeah, no, just rub salt into the wound that he's not able to swim at the moment. Which one do you want to do? Or just be mean, I guess. Just to ruin the the daydreaming of kids, I guess. We're going with the cast. I feel like the cast one is like the best option. Like, none of them are good, but you have worse and even worse. Or bad and even worse. That's how English works, right? Me too. Obviously not interested in hearing much more of your input on the situation, Cove turned back to the water. That was better than I expected, to be honest. I expected him to either cry or get mad. I didn't have that high of an expectation of where this conversation was going. Probably is still going. But as he looked away, something about Shiloh's slow, careful movements caught his eye. Hey, are you building a sandcastle? Sort of. I was only playing around while you were talking. I'm listening. Maybe I could too. I've only made big piles before. It's really nothing special. I'm sure you'll be good at it right away. Yeah. Well, how do you do it then? Shiloh's cheeks lit up. How do... you mean like blushing? That's one way of saying he's blushing, I guess. You could tell he was a little bit uncomfortable to have Cove's expectant stare on him. I'll play too. I love making sand stuff. That doesn't sound like we're like confident in our ability to make a sand castle. I've never really made one before. Didn't we brag about it before, how we joined sandcastle competitions? Okay. There's nothing else to do. I love making sand stuff. Okay. He put his hands back to his seashells and sand and nodded. I don't do a lot. Here's how I like to get a house started. A house? Okay. I thought we were building a sandcastle, not house. Are you building an entire village? Shiloh, focusing more intently than you had ever seen him, guided Cove through his progress. You happily use your own method. It didn't take long for the three of you to each have humble structures prepared. Whoa, you're close. That's all kind of... that's all, kind of. There's a break between those two words. I was really confused. You can do anything now. Like, make it bigger, add some she-selves, carve a pretty pattern. I bet you have great ideas. I'm trying to add words.
Okay.
I'm gonna make it bigger. Mine is gonna be a real castle. Cool. This is gonna be a house. Looking at the base of your sandcastle, you decide to make a house, a castle, a mansion. I want to go for the castle. I'm feeling the castle part. Looking at the base of your sandcastle, you decided to build a fancy castle. The better part of the next hour was spent focusing on your own work. The boys were the same. Even Shiloh didn't sneak as many peeks at everyone else as he usually did. You finished shaping before either of them did, glancing up from what you had built. It seemed you got done so fast because they already searched around for extra decoration. Seems you got done so fast because... Oh, okay. Shiloh had grabbed most of the really interesting stuff, and Cove had a lot of shells. But there were still options. The first thing you reached for was a red bottle cap, blue seashell, green piece of sea glass. Hold up, I wanna quickly search sea glass because I have an idea of how that looks. But I don't go to the beach too much, and that's basically, I guess, the only place you can really find them. Okay, that looks cool. I'm gonna go with the sea glass. It looks really, really pretty. We're going with sea glass. It was the best fit for your castle, you decided. It was see-through and sparkly. So you put it in a funny place, where it take a second look to see it. Oh, okay. Pleased with your result, you finally took a proper look around. That wasn't focused on the sand itself. Both Gove and Shiloh seemed super immersed still. You know you could probably sneak a peek at either one's work. You decided not to, Luke? I decided to check out Gove's sandcastle. You decide to check out Shiloh's sand house. I'm not gonna look. We get to see it in the end. Why would we take a peek now? You instead watched some clouds go by. The silence was then broken. What's on the top of yours, Shiloh? You peeked close and discovered something shiny sticking out of Shiloh's sand chimney. Oh, it's just a gum wrapper. It looks like smoke.
Neat.
That's good. That's smart. Yeah, I didn't think of that. Why would we need smoke in our castle? What is on fire? We don't have any chimneys. I guess I don't see it. You should be an architect. Okay, let's not go that far. Kinda looks like a worm. Okay. These two sound kind of mean. This one... I think I like this one the best then. Even if we didn't need like the smoke part. You really know a lot about this. Shiloh smiled without a word. And that was that for the current topic. True. Can I see what you did? Sure. He began surveying your work. The castle you built was pretty impressive, all things considered. It had archways, tall walls, and even a little moat circling it. You would probably feel safe living there. Maybe your moms were the queens. Shiloh quickly decided to jump in the new conversation. For a moment, I thought he was gonna jump in the castle I built. Like, he seemed like such a nice kid, so I was like, you're gonna do what now? Hey, true. What did you do? This is my castle. Shiloh didn't look so happy anymore. You both built castles?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's neat. How you guys match? It's too bad we didn't all do it. Next time we should. Kid, your house is great. No, hold up. I should have chosen a house. I don't care what I said about wanting to build a sandcastle because castles are more fun. Let's build a mansion or a house. Poor kid is feeling left out. Wouldn't that be boring? If something is the only one of that thing, that makes it special. Thanks, Gove. Yeah, for sandcastles and stuff. People too. My dad always said how everyone is their own man. A real individual. I don't get that sentence really, but sure. I don't think I'm very special.
Why?
Why not? Nobody else is you. Shiloh simply shook his head. I'm not different. A beat passed between the two. Gove then looked down at his own work again. Okay. He didn't seem to be bothered leaving the disagreement hanging there. Gove had other things on his mind. My dad tried to get me to make sandcastles the first time we came to this beach. I didn't want to. Gove trailed off again. There was another moment of silence. Shiloh shifted and opened his mouth to say something, but Gove spoke up before he could. You didn't think he noticed that Shiloh was going to talk. Hey, do you know what happened when your moms met my dad, True? You waited to see if Shiloh would say what he wanted to. When he didn't, you considered Gove's question. I wasn't there, and they didn't tell me. Just remember what happened when I met your dad. Mr. Holden had been a weird stranger then. Well, he was still kind of strange, yeah, no, obviously. No other parents acted like him. Hi! How are you doing? But you knew him better than this at this point. I am also doing fine. I'm curious if my voice is going to survive this time of reading the visual novel. So, I don't know how long this stream is gonna take. But at this point, I'm having fun, and the story is still interesting. Now you thought about it, it made a lot of sense that Cove's dad talked to him about people being unique. Oh, that's how you found me. Oh, that's neat. I also play Oria, but I do switch a lot between games. I am going to finish Ori and the Blind Forest, if you're wondering about that, but I honestly don't know when. We're built from your thoughts when Cove continued.
Oh.
Oh, well, I was there. And it's a nice thing to say, thank you. I kind of want to say something bad, but I met you a few seconds ago, so that's not really gonna work. I don't think my mom has met your dad. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that she hasn't. True's parents and my dad met the same day I met them. I'm gonna say what happened. Okay. Like, from what I can tell with your chatting here, you sound very friendly too. But it only has been a few messages, so for all I know, you could switch up on me and become really mean. Let's say that kind of has happened before, not in my Twitch chat, but it also happens in real life, so you never know. Not saying that you're a mean person, I say I don't really know you at the moment, so that could happen. There's always a possibility of things. Shadow frowned to himself. Ducking his head cast a shadow over his face. You could still tell he was upset at nothing being included in Cove's choice of topic. Oh, of not being included. Yeah, I get that. Have you ever heard of the game I'm playing at the moment? I keep Our Life. I keep forgetting the rest of the name. Do you want a quick recap of what happened? No, it's a visual novel. So basically, it's mostly just a story, and I can make choices in between that influence the story, so I can like reach different endings. Yeah, like Doki Literature Club. Of Doki Doki Literature Club or something. Only this is not a horror game from what I am aware. This is a romance novel kind of things. Or you can make it that one. This dude here, with the green hair, that's Cove. Basically, you play through 4 types, or 4 phases of life. Right now, we're still in the childhood. And after we end the summer, after I've played all of the moments I have available without the DLCs, we go to like teenagers and then teenage years, I forgot the names for that phase of life. Then you have the young adults, and then you have like the epilogue of like the adult phase of life. And my cousin recommended me this game and asked if I could stream it, so I was like, yeah, sure. I'm always open for more games to play, even if I have one open. Not one open, I have like 3 games I still need to play at the moment. But so far, I've been really enjoying this game. So you join in the story basically at the end of the childhood phase, so you didn't really miss that much of the story yet. Except that, like, this dude, from what I can tell, his parents divorced and his dad moved to, like, the place we live, or the character lives. And, yeah, you basically befriend the new kid with the single dad. And that's all I can really tell from the story up until this point. Normally, I also don't really play these type of games, but... Fatherless. He's not fatherless, he's motherless. But yeah, normally... I don't know. Normally, I don't have the attention span for these type of games. Motherless L. You switched up fast. Ha! Loser, you're fatherless. Wait, no, wrong parent. You're motherless. Ha! That was kind of boring for him. Though giving people their own turn to say the things they want is important too. You stay silent and let Cove finish his story. I think Shiloh wants to talk too. These are the choices I'm talking about. And most of the time they give me some kind of dilemma, because there is like one good answer and then or not even a good answer. Most of the time for me it's like, oh yeah, you have a bad answer and then there are worse answers. So it's like pick your poison. Are we gonna interrupt this story or I don't think there is an option to destroy the friendship. No, I think in the, like, there was a 10-minute long, or at least I read it really slowly, for like the gaming instructions, at least like the instructions on how to play this game. It said there were only good endings. The second option. Yeah, to be honest, I would want someone to speak up for me if I want to say something. That sounds nice. Let's do it. Huh? We were talking just now. Just not right now. I'm talking to you. He can listen. That's just rude. I think this person wants to say something. Not right now. We're having a conversation. He can just listen. That's just rude. Do I want to befriend him at this point? He has been nothing but rude at this point. I will allow that my auto mod caught your message based on sex-based terms because of the beat his ass part. Let him on talk. Okay. Shiloh's expression barely flickered at the words. He still looked put off. I don't think Shiloh has the best living experience at home with, like, class or something, because from what I get, he's like a real follower. Cove continued like the interruption hadn't happened. He was determined to tell the tale. Oh, no. I don't like it, but I am curious to the story because your dad is a really weird person. When we moved here, we didn't bring a lot of things with us. Only some stuff that would fit in Dad's car. We didn't even get a moving truck. I sat in there while Dad brought it all inside. I didn't want to get out because I knew Dad would make me look around the new house. I really didn't want to do that. His lip twisted into a frown as he recalled that. Then I saw your moms. They were in a car too and stopped at your house. I guess they were coming back from somewhere or something. My dad noticed. He waved his hand, then went over to the front of your house where he started talking to them. And that is when, okay, basically in the prologue, Cove's dad asks you for, hey, can you help search for my son? Because he basically ran away. So you met him on like the hill near the beach. That is probably the time he ran away, because you leave a child alone and ran away from the woods. I don't know what they said. I couldn't hear it. But he couldn't see me anymore since he was looking the other way. Yeah, that was his mistake. So I opened the car door and left. I wanted to get away and went behind the houses. I found those hills there, the ones where we met for the first time. Shiloh looks so sad. I'm feeling terrible about this conversation. I like the information. This is nice information to know what happened. On the other hand, this kid is looking so sad right next to us. Cove nodded, then stared at you. You stared back. He didn't go on to say anything more. Aren't you going to finish your story? Okay, nice information. No one else. Let the blue boy talk. Now you say it, he is really dressed in basically all blue. I don't know how I didn't realize that. Cove brows wrinkled, like he didn't understand why you were surprised.
Huh?
That's all that happened. Well, that's not useful information. You basically told me, oh yeah, my dad went over to talk to your moms, and I ran away. Like, you could have let Shiloh talk. This wasn't that important. Okay, why did you want to tell me the story if nothing happened? You really gotta be better at telling stories. It was a pretty bad story. Thanks for telling me. Okay, thanks for telling me would be the nice option. However, I am pretty pissed at him right now and I don't feel like being nice. I feel like going, but why did you want to tell me the story if nothing happened? That was a pretty bad story is also a good one. But I'm more curious why who would want to tell me it. If basically nothing happened. He was just telling me like, yeah, I ran away. Like, yeah, no, I found you on the hills after you ran away. I know that bit of information. So why did you want to tell me it? I don't get what the point was. But that was how our parents met. I didn't make the story up. Yeah, no, that was pretty obvious. Because it was pretty boring. That's not really my point. But the second option is a good idea, yeah. Gov just was not understanding the issue here. Shiloh's mouth twisted in a scroll of disbelief, but he said nothing. I don't know. I think the mouth is a bit weird. Sir Mad. That is a funny emote. I have not seen that one before. Why'd you bring that up anyway? There was a slight shrug of Cove's shoulders.
Well,
I was thinking about it because of the sandcastles. It made me remember when I moved to here. Dad showed me the beach first, before we went back to the car to unpack. He was really excited about it for some reason. Cove's brow furrowed a little more as he quietly raked his hand through the sand. I get it. Do we? Do we get it? I don't feel like I get it, but okay. You thought maybe Mr. Holden wasn't that excited about the beach and was instead hoping Cove might be. Yeah, okay, no, that seems like a reasonable parent thing to do. Act excited so that maybe your child will be excited. Especially if you just moved through from God knows where to an entirely different place. But the line of conversation had come to its end. Even Cove was done with it. Some other topics had popped into his head. Shiloh fidgeting uncomfortably in the sand had made Cove aware of his presence again. Finally? They looked at each other, and you could only wonder what this might be about. Hey, Shiloh. Yeah? Why are you always turning so red, even when there's nothing happening? I need to know who taught Cove his social skills. Because even I have better social skills than just plainly talking over someone, saying they're not important and that they can listen. Probably YouTube Indian tutorials. Hi. Yeah, no, I can see that. Clearly startled by he jerked back. Neither you or Shiloh had expected that to be how he got included in the conversation again. No, I expected him to be included again like, okay, what did you want to say? Instead of like, why are you always blushing? I don't know, I guess. Okay, it's kind of weird. Dude, you really, really need to work on your social skills. Don't just tell someone their behavior is weird if it's not like really weird, like turning red all the time. Yeah, it's a bit weird, but like it's not like creepy weird or something like that. Come on. You haven't even met the sister yet. You're gonna hate the sister in this game? Last stream, when I played this one, I had to remind myself to not threaten those kids. So I'm also not gonna let you threaten those kids, even if we dislike those kids, okay? I couldn't push a child down a hill. You cannot fight a child. Shiloh's eyes were wide with embarrassment and his lip twitched. And he was blushing even harder than before. Yeah, that's logical. He just got told that he was weird. That's just mean. Maybe it wasn't only this. Perhaps it was simply that the last straw. But it was a big deal to Shiloh. A huge deal. He didn't just look sad. He seemed almost panicked. Oh no. You weren't sure if he was about to cry or run away or what. But you soon got an answer. Why do you wear glasses? Most kids don't wear glasses, and nobody is named Cove. Go get. Scream at him. Insult him. You're doing great.
Who asked you to come?
Who asked you to come? It was probably just your dad bugging Drew's family some more, because you don't have anyone else who will ever play with you. I did not expect this from Shiloh, but I am loving it. Cove blinked. The tension on the beach was suddenly uncomfortable in a way you didn't know how to laugh off. Why would we want to laugh this? Okay, we're kids. I get that laughing off bad situations is kind of like the standard. Shiloh is great. This is like the third time you hang out with him, maybe? And I like this time a lot, because we went to go get ice cream, I believe, once. And then he was slightly late, not laid back, but he was like a real follower, and I didn't really like it, because he was basically just agreeing to everything my character said. So I like him standing up for himself, because that's a character I like. Not someone who literally just is okay with spending money on an ice cream that they're not even gonna eat. It didn't seem like the kind of thing he'd be upset about. Though you hadn't even known that kind of thing would bother Shiloh. I'm sorry. No, don't be sorry. Be mean. It was great. Me too. I was just wondering. Hey, let's build another sandcastle. You tried to play on your own. Honestly, I could see myself do that. Just like, oh, those two are fighting and then slowly back away and then like start building my own sandcastle again. Okay, so either it's build another sandcastle or just sit playing with sand. We're actually, yeah, honestly, yeah, now I think about it, I am, in most situations, the third wheel, even if my character should be, like, a main character, because that's how it works most of the time. Like, there are most definitely situations where your character has to, like, decide important things like a main character. But this entire interaction basically has been my character just sitting between a conversation and just overhearing everything. I think I'm just gonna play on my own and hope they join. Because I don't want to bring up building another sandcastle with those two. And I feel like if I'm just sitting here playing with the sand, then nothing is really gonna happen, or they're just gonna talk to me like, what's your opinion on this entire mess? So I would just go back away and build another sandcastle or something. Is there an option to... No, sadly no. There have been multiple times where I was like, where's the option to just run away? And then the time I said that, like, where's the option to run away? By the next choices, there was an option to run away. But it was already too late for, like, the choices I had to make. I'm just gonna back away and play on my own, I guess. You shrugged, not in the mood to work out their problem, and started to build another castle next to your first one. Both of your playmates notice immediately and turn away from each other. What are you doing? Ignoring you? I'm gonna finish my next one before both of you. Shiloh glanced at you, then at Cove, who had already started digging up more sand. You all went back to making more sand buildings, but the whole mood had changed. Shiloh's cheeriness was clearly gone, and Cove looked as confused as ever, about why the other boy had blown up. The rock face they did. The faces can be quite funny. The air stayed uncomfortable the rest of the afternoon, right up to the moment that Shiloh's mom appeared at the beach to take him home. Okay. Cove and Shiloh had mostly followed your lead and barely said a word. Honestly, I feel like I would have gone home at one point. Imagine just staying in that conversation, like not even conversation anymore, just that awkward swear. That's the Dutch word, not the English word. The uncomfortable atmosphere. I think that's the word I was searching for. I would have gone insane, probably. I would have been thinking way too much about things. Now I think about this is like the second fight argument that I've seen Cove creating. Or, well, being part of. I'm still blaming the sister for the first fight. But it's not really a good track record to have, like, 2 fights, arguments, whatever, in, like... Is this the 4th memory we're playing? I think. Hi. His mom standing behind him, even Shiloh's goodbye had been quiet, friendly, cheerful, but noticeably quiet. But with Shiloh gone and the sun going down, you knew it was time for you and Cove to head to your own houses. The two of you trailed out of the park together towards the neighborhood. The walk home was quiet. You passed by familiar landmarks, shoes thumping against the sidewalk in near perfect unison. Cove was clearly catching up catched up and thinking about something. Maybe the argument he had. That seems like the normal thing to think about. We're gonna ask. I'm curious. Like, I probably know the answer, but I want to know. I'm gonna ask. I want to be in everyone's business. Something was definitely up, so you choose to reach out to ask, to him and ask. Hey, Cove, is everything okay? You're making a funny face. You're thinking about how the blue boy roasted this. Yeah, I mean, probably. Oh, I was just wondering. Cove fell silent again for a few more seconds, then cited. Why'd Shiloh act like that when I said he was all red, that he was all red a lot? So yeah, he was thinking about the time the little blue boy roasted him. You're being rude to him? He's just being a baby. No. You shouldn't make fun of him. I'm not gonna use that one because I'm convinced Cove does really have like bad social skills and didn't notice that it was rude or making fun of him. I don't know, it's just Shiloh. He gets embarrassed and not give an answer. Yeah. Yeah, the first answer is like the best because making fun of him makes it sound like that was his intention. And I don't think that was the case. And the rest is just either not true or just mean to Shiloh. No, I wasn't. It looked like that to me. And it wasn't just saying that one thing. You're not very nice to Shiloh. I didn't mean it like that. Shiloh is kind of weird to talk to. Fair enough, I can understand that. See? That's kind of rude. But it's also kind of true. I guess I can get it. Why he would do that? Sometimes I get really mad too. Despite seemingly coming to a conclusion, Cove's mood was still sour. What Shiloh said didn't make sense anyway. Parents always talk to other parents and set up stuff so their kids play together. Uh-oh. My dad didn't do anything weird. You struggled not to make a face at that. His dad definitely did something weird to try and get you to spend time with Cove. You don't notice. Okay, notice. Like, the first time you met the dad, he tried paying you money to hang out with his son. The dad was really like, I will pay you to be friends with my son. Which is just... That's kind of low for a parent to do. But that's definitely something weird to do. To have like kids hang around your child, just paying them. But Cove didn't know that, and he didn't have to know. Nobody's making me spend time with you. Your dad does do stuff, so you will hang out with my family, but Shiloh shouldn't have said that. You decided to tell him about your dad offered you money. Hey kid, want some extra trauma about how far your dad can go to make kids hang out with you? I mean, in the end, I have not accepted the money or anything. So I feel like I should just go with nobody's making me spend time with you. Because I feel like it's kind of low to just hit him with like, oh yeah, no, your dad is really convincing my family to let me and my sister hang out with you. I think I'm just gonna go with the first one. Because the choices I made in the past, I guess. Cove's shoulders relaxed. You hadn't even noticed that he had tensed up. Yeah, that was what I thought too. Okay, at least we made him happy. You might have only met a terrible Cove, but I promise he can also be nice, and I don't want to piss him off now, because this is the character that we're gonna see for like the rest of the game. Anyway, I knew the whole time with Shiloh shouldn't have been saying things like that. You nodded, but you didn't speak. You kept your eyes firmly on the ground. By now, the two of you were on the sidewalk near your houses. It was time to part ways. Bye, Cove. Your parents hadn't planned anything else for you, though you knew that you'd see him eventually. If I didn't know you guys were kind of friends, I would have assumed that you were just gonna stalk him. I don't know why. It's probably because of like other games I have been playing that were kind of dark, and this is really a light game, as in it has some dark subjects, but it doesn't really talk about it. But yeah, that was not my first reaction of like, oh yeah, no, you're gonna play again. My reaction was, you're gonna just wait outside his home or something. Cove nodded, already turning away. Bye, True. You made your way to your house at a leisure pace, going up the driveway to get through the front door. Before you went inside, you looked back. Cove was already halfway through to his house, his hands shoved into his pockets. You still felt a little unsure with what you were supposed to do about the deal Cove's dad had offered. You didn't want to say something bad or something you shouldn't. You might change your mind sometime. There was always tomorrow, after all. But for now, it was definitely something that you'd keep to yourself. Yeah, no, what we're gonna do. So the dad offered the player to spend time with Cove because he's lonely. Well, I don't know his like home situation before basically his parents, I think, divorced and his dad took him to an entire new place. So I think it was maybe just I don't want my kid to be lonely in this new place. Or he has always been lonely, so I need to pay kids to hang out with him kind of deal. Honestly, with how rude he is, he might have been lonely the entire time. With a final look, you went inside your house. And that's the end of that memory. But yeah, the dad offered money. What we're gonna do is we're gonna befriend Cove, and then in later phases of life, then we can rub it in his face that his dad, like, tried to make us hang out with him by paying money. Okay, hold up, we're gonna save. And this is the last moment of the childhood phase. And then we press on and then summer ended, and then we will go... I am not done yet, I'm gonna continue. I was thinking about ending... I don't know when I will be ending stream, to be honest. Last time I played like the prologue and then these 3 chapters, so I streamed for like almost 3 hours.
All right.
And there's the sister. All right, tonight we're going to catch fireflies. At this blunt declaration from your sister, you looked up from your macaroni and cheese dinner. Okay, I know the design is really pretty, but at the moment she's also pretty rude. So I don't know if that's like... She kind of gives off like the vibes of those, you know, like those typical American high school movies that they make with like the bullies. That's kind of the vibe I get from her if we don't stop. Yeah, okay, fair enough. There are some pretty characters that have like good vibes, but most of the time they can be pretty bad people. Okay. Fireflies were a familiar sight over the summer, coming out of the on warm nights to dance through the sky. He went from calling her pretty to her face is already pissing me off. It's so goofy. Yeah, okay, but you must remember, this is like, I think, a 10 or 11-year-old. I'm not certain about the ages. I know Cove and the character I play are both 9. Shiloh is a few years younger. And Lizzie has only confirmed that she is in like 2-digit. So the only thing I know is that like she's like 10 or 11, I think. Tonight was particularly balmy. You knew there were bound to be a ton of them around. That's one of the moms. That's Mom. Oh, you are? Are you? Yeah, like they're really young kids. Sometimes I forget that like the information I have you don't have yet. So it makes sense that they have like a bit of bad social skills, but at the same time, I feel like a 9-year-old should know to not call someone weird. I know they still do it, but they should know better. Yeah, you started eating faster. You look over at your mom's, you push your foot around your plate. Honestly, I don't really like macaroni, so that's a thing I would see myself do. But I kind of want to go catch fireflies, so I'm going with yeah, or starts eating faster. Let's just go with yeah and eat at a normal pace so that we don't throw up. You rock lightly from side to side in your seat, already excited for your after-dinner activity. You should go study. I don't think wanting to watch... You can always watch a stream back. I know, like, having a conversation is more fun, but I also feel your study is important. And I stream, or at least I try to stream, like, once a week, on most of the time around the weekend, so like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But still, it's to you to decide. I would say, okay, honestly, this is selfish, because I was planning on making homework today. And instead I played, like, The Sims 4 for, like, 4 hours. So, maybe I shouldn't be giving out advice that I myself am not listening to. Being tired of studying. Yeah, okay, that's relatable. There's probably going to be another period of, like, 2 to 3 weeks where I won't be streaming because of, like, a test week. Those are, like, the times I take off, because otherwise, I know I will just start streaming a lot, purely so that I don't have to study. And, I would like to get, my diploma, I guess? Yeah. I really had to think what I would be getting after I finish this study. Catching fireflies was great. Was a great way to spend a summer evening, and you could already envision the little lightning bugs drifting through this darkened sky. I don't think I have ever seen a firefly in real life. Only in, like, games and movies. Have I ever seen them in movies? Honestly, I don't know. That's a good idea, Lizzie. Can we, Mrs. Hope? Oh, Shiloh is here again. I forget that that kid is basically here all the time. Shiloh tapped his fork against the table excitedly, his face lighting up as he looked at Lizzie. It was unusual for Shiloh to still be here. Like always, his mom had to bring him over really early in the morning before her job started. But normally, she would have picked him up by now. She called before dinner to let your moms know she'd be late. You didn't hear why, probably more work things. Boring adult things. You thought maybe getting to hang out with Shiloh for longer is what made Lizzie want to keep running around outside. Staying at home and watching TV was never an option for her with guests over. That's why you were pretty sure she'd get your moms to agree. Well, it's already so dark out there. Gee. I like the facial expressions in this game because they can be kind of weird. Lizzie gave Mom the best puppy dog eyes she could, slowly spooning mac and cheese into her mouth while she waited there for their response.
There.
Let them go. Nights like this don't happen every day. Your parents exchanged a look, then Mom eventually sighed and nodded back. Yes! Along with Lizzie's cheers, you threw your arms up in triumph, but waited until you had finished chewing to say anything because you knew it was rude to talk with your mouth full. Who knows, they could get kidnapped. Honestly, I think it's more likely that they would go to the beach and drown in the sea. Because this is a pretty small town, so everyone knows each other, so I guess, like, people would look out for the kids. But, yeah, I mean, there's always a chance to get kidnapped, I guess. Although I would feel like they wouldn't really go for 3 kids. More for like 2 or 1, because 3 seems like a bit too much to handle. But, maybe it's a really bad kidnapper. Fine. Just make sure you stay on the hill behind our house with all the puppies, okay? Duh, Mom. That's where most of them are. The idea had only just been planted in your head, but already you could just picture all the glowing lights spread out in front of you. Like the fairies from the bedtime stories Mommy read to you sometimes. All too quickly, it became a race to see who could finish their food first. And we still ate really quickly, even if I didn't choose that option. Okay. No choking at the dinner table now. That's right. If someone died, we'd have to cancel the Firefly trip after all. Ah yes, because that's the worst thing that could happen. Not that someone died, but that we couldn't go catch fireflies. Yes. I mean, that's probably how it works in a child's mind, to be honest. They wouldn't see someone dying as a huge problem. Mom said it like a joke, but you knew that they were both telling you kids to slow down. Shiloh did immediately. When you glanced at Liz, you saw her still eating faster than she should. Elizabeth?
Jeez.
No one is going to die. Jeez. A knock on the door interrupted Mom before she could, no doubt, scroll your sister. I'll get it. Your big sister jumped out of her seat and ran over to the door, pulling it open without even looking out of the window to see who it was. I don't even remember being allowed to open the door if I didn't know who was on the other side when I was like 11. Well, maybe at the 11, definitely not at 9 or something.
Huh?
And this is how the game ends. I mean, it's not the main character who gets stabbed or killed or anything like that. It's the sister, so the story can continue. We only now have a dead sister instead of a living one. You shifted in your seat to try and get a glimpse of the unexpected guest.
Hi.
Good evening, Cove. Your mommy had already walked to the door by the time you managed to see past Shiloh's flappy hat. Cove? My parents always tell me to say, who is it behind the door and check the window. Yeah. I honestly don't remember what my parents used to tell me, but we have like one of those doorbells has had a camera now. So unless that I know it's a mailman or something like that I have to accept the package, it's either I'm just gonna ignore the doorbell until I get like a message on my phone from a friend or something telling me they are in front of the door and to please stop ignoring them. Or Just wait until they go away. That's what I do at this time if the doorbell goes. You had no idea why he was there all of a sudden, but you're supposed it wasn't worth worrying over. How does the camera thing work? Well, basically, when either the camera detects a motion or the button gets pressed. Well, when the button gets pressed, you get notified that someone is ringing the doorbell, and the camera like shows you who it is via like an app on your phone or something. Yeah, it alerts you on the phone. It gives like sounds, and I think the video if someone is belling or not belling, ringing the bell, and it shows a pop-up, like a notification thing, if it has detected movement in front of the door, I believe. I don't have the thing on my phone itself. I mostly use like the app on the tablet or something that's lying around. But it is really useful to know who is at the door, and it's like a mini security camera for something because it activated when detection, I guess. But yeah, I like the doorbell. It's better than having to see through, like, not clear glass and guess who it is. Or look out from another window. Instead, your eyes landed on Lizzie, who was looking at Cove like he had come here specifically to ruin all her plans. Then for a few seconds, Cove said nothing. He only stood there and looked up at your mummy with a face almost like he was considering turning around and leaving. My dad told me to drop this off, because I guess he borrowed it from you? Why did the dad send his kid out when it's so dark outside to return something? Couldn't they have done it earlier? Or couldn't the dad have come along? Cove took a familiar screwdriver from out of his large side pockets. Eyes now dropped to the floor. We left ours back home when we moved. Great, thanks, bye! And that's what I meant with the sister isn't that nice. Yes, it's a thing I can see myself do. But only to people I know well enough. To like family members I don't want to talk to.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here, why don't you come inside for a bit? Lizzie crossed her arms and lifted her chin. Cove shrugged, and Mom stood from the table too. I will give your dad a call to let him know you got here all right. At least the mom is responsible. Cove shivered fully inside, eyes remaining on the ground. Mommy closed the door behind him.
Hi.
Hi, Cove. Shiloh gave Cove a friendly smile, while waving by holding up his hand and opening and closing his fingers. Oh, okay. I was like, why are they describing how someone waves? But it's kind of a weird way of waving, so I kind of get it. Why would you wave that way? It feels really uncomfortable to do. Cove nodded in response. Cove, are you going to catch fireflies with us? You could come outside with us if you want. You aren't sure what to say now. No, I'm gonna ruin my sister's plan. We're gonna invite him to catch fireflies. You could see Lizzie eyeing you for mentioning the excursion to an outsider. But she'll get over it. No, she won't. If Cove said no, you would understand, though. Catching fireflies wasn't something that everyone liked to do.
Okay.
I want to see them. I'd never caught one before. It's too bad he didn't have a chance before now. The fireflies weren't out when he first moved in, and there must not have been any where I used to live. We can't go until after dinner. After she pointed this out, Lizzie walked back to the table and took her seat. There wasn't much left on her plate. Since this was very true, you decided to finish up your own stuff as well. Cove stepped closer and eyed what was on the menu for your family's meal. Have you eaten yet? Yeah, my dad and I ate earlier. What do you have? Eggs. Just eggs? Nothing else? I'm sorry, what kind of dinner is just eggs? Just egg. The clipped one-word answer seemed to discourage Shiloh from asking any more questions. His eyes slowly wandered back to the last scraps of food on his plate. Her phone call with Gove's dad must have ended because your mom came back into the room.
Okay.
Gove, your dad said you can stay for a little while if you'd like. But he's going to come get you before it gets too much later. He's on a diet, probably. What kind of diet has only egg as dinner? What for type of egg, by the way? You can, like, prepare it. Did they just eat a raw egg? Or was it, like, cooked, baked, pouched, whatever? Sure.
Fun.
Oh, fun. This will be so nice. Of course, the parents say that. As you polished off your meal, you hoped it would be too. The three of you all finished eating shortly after, and Lizzie led the way outside. Remember, don't stray too far. All I hear is a challenge. But we all know those parents are, like, probably looking outside the window and not taking their eyes off us for, like, a second. It's fine, Mom. Shiloh tread so closely after Lizzie, he was nearly stepping on her heels. Cove hesitated at the door. Coming? After a moment, he did.
Bye.
Bye, children. The two of you were a good 10 or 15 feet behind Lizzie and Shiloh. By the time you walked outside, you pushed the door shut, not open. The door shut behind you, watching their figures getting farther and farther away.
Hurry up!
You're so slow, True. We don't have all night. You started to run when you heard Lizzie's voice calling to you, but paused when you saw Cove still walking at a relaxed pace. Are you not gonna come? You tugged him along. You ran off, you walked with him, you waved at him to hurry. I kind of feel like tugging him along. I think I like that chaos option. Because walking with him will be boring. We can also wave at him to hurry, but he's probably just gonna ignore that knowing him. We can also just leave him behind. But I don't think the parents will like that. Especially after we asked if he would join. So we're just gonna tug him along. Let's go! You gave his arm a pull, but immediately recoiled when he hissed. Why is he hissing at us? From all the, like, reactions I expected, getting hissed at was not an option. Oh, we grabbed his cast arm. Never mind. It was a hiss of pain, not getting hissed at. I get it. Okay, my mistake. And he's suddenly a furry. In your hurry, he accidentally grabbed his cast arm. You hadn't thought about it. So basically, we just tugged on his broken arm. Yeah, I can see why that hurts. Sorry. It's fine. Just go by yourself. You couldn't help but feel bad as he rubbed his arm and refused to look at you. But since it didn't seem like he wanted you there, you did what he said and hurried to the hill. Ooh. There were already a lot of fireflies out, glowing, bobbing about like bios on a wave. Okay. Lacey was standing on the top. Shiloh was spinning in circles somewhere around the middle. Where's Cove? You look behind you, wondering if you'd upset him enough to send him home. It does really look beautiful. But I also kind of find it funny that the fireflies are just like bouncing, glowing yellow orbs. I know that's how like fireflies are portrayed most of the time. I just find it looks funny. But a second later, he rounded the corner, looking around at all the fireflies with interest. Wow. Charlotte took a moment to come over and welcome the both of you to the hill. Hi guys, it's really great out here, huh? See how many there are? Yeah. A firefly danced through the air, landing on Cove's sea green head. Charlotte couldn't help but giggle. Shiloh couldn't help but giggle. You quietly looked on. You shoot the bug away. We're not gonna shoot a bug away. I like that the option is like you stay quiet, but it also means Shiloh is gonna stay quiet. Because why do we have an option to make Shiloh laugh? We're gonna do the second option, but like, how can we control Shiloh's reactions? Did we just suddenly become like a god in this game? Covering your mouth with a hand, the sound escaped you. And Cove looked at you in confusion. Okay, if we've become a god, I don't think I want a god that's like the age of a 9-year-old. Do you know how many chaos, how much damage a 9-year-old would cause by being a powerful, not even a powerful god, just a god? If I could influence people's like reactions or stuff like that, you could cause so much chaos. What? You gestured to his head, and he reached up, making the firefly dart away. Cove jumped, then followed after the glow. Oh, look, Lizzie has one. That's amazing. Shallow ran to the highest point of the hill, making sure not to lose his hat or backpack along the way. You hummed at the group as the group divided and conquered? Divided and conquered, okay. Shifting your gaze to the dozen of other fireflies sailing around, the game was on. You had a bandage on your thumb and you tried to be cautious of that. Nah, I would never. You had a bandage on your palm and you tried to be cautious of that. You had 2 bandages on your hand and you tried to be cautious of that. They were good at nothing getting... you were good at not getting cuts or scratches, so you weren't too worried about that. So either the options, you hurt yourself or you're better than that. I'm gonna go with you're better than that. Why would we get hurt? We're great. We're God. Spotting one close by, you approached it like with assassin-like stealth. Crouching down to make yourself seem like a less of a threat. Slowly dragging one foot in front of the other, you crept up towards it, arms outstretched. You closed your hand around the little glowing orb, carefully not to crush it. The firefly landed on your palm, almost docile. You stared down at your prize in the light. We got one. Its tiny legs tickling your skin, and you giggled at the sensation. Cove kept up with his own target, but when he tried to grab it, his pink cast waved artfully through the air, foiling his efforts to clap his hand around the firefly. That sounds like a Minecraft villager, but okay. Cove watched it vanish into thin air with a dissatisfied expression on his face. You encouraged him to try again. You told him about the firefly you had. You make a joke about what happened. You said your own things. Oh, you did your own things. I was like, what is you said your own things? Can we just fill something in, but I read it wrong. My mistake. We're not that much of a god yet. Let's encourage him to try again. It would probably go wrong again. And then we can laugh and point and make fun of him. Yeah, we're just gonna tell him to do it again. Why not? He'll get the next one. Cove didn't say anything, and you thought he must be upset. He walked further up the hill to continue his hunt, and you let your own firefly flutter back into the air. That was fine. You had your own plans. I'm gonna collect more. Why would I only catch one? With renewed vigor, you ran out into the hill. You're not sure how much time passed while you were in the thick of it. All you could focus on was the adventure at hand. No critter was safe from your grasp. Okay, I know the view is very pretty. And I would probably also sit down and look at it, because I've never been there before. But remember, the character grew up there. They have seen it time and time again. For them, this is probably just like going to a park you've been like a million times. So, yes, it is pretty, but you probably memorized like basically everything of it. So, the logical response would be like to hunt the fireflies. But I know there's a very pretty view. At first you tried to keep a tally of how many you had caught, but once the number grew higher than 10, you had no more fingers left to count with. Yeah, okay, that seems like an 11-year thing to do, like forgetting how to count. You were having the time of your life, racing up and down the hill, with the crash of the ocean and the sound of everyone's laughter echoing in the background. Eventually, the fireflies began to thin out and your energy started to lapse. You decided it was time to call off the hunt.
Come on!
True, Cove, get up here! We're gonna have a race. Why are we racing? Can't we just sit down? We just ran around, basically the entire hill. The shouting caught you off guard. It had been quite a while since you heard from... it had been quite a while since you had heard from Lizzie or Shiloh. Let's sit down and have tea, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, just a delightful tea party. With like some snacks like scones or something. You glance back to see them both standing on top of the hill again. Okay, Lizzie beckoning you to come to you with quick hand gestures. If she was like that, you knew there wasn't much room for disagreement. Up the incline you went. From the corner of your eye you saw Cove was coming as well. He didn't care for Lizzie a lot, so you thought he might be intrigued just by the idea of a race. Hi. Hi.
Cove.
Hi, Cove. You can't roll down the hill. You would hurt your arm again. You will be the referee. I can't pronounce it. I'm just gonna continue. For the rest of us. Poor kid. He was so maybe interested in the race, and then it was like, oh, you can't do that. You will just have to watch us have fun. As Lizzie pointed this out, Cove froze in place. Oh, it was that kind of race. He frowned down at his cast. That was the second time it got in the way tonight. What? Yeah, you will watch and see who gets to the bottom first. That's important, got it?
I guess.
The cast was sturdy. If he was careful, he could have done it. Lizzie might have just been looking for a reason to make someone else the refugee. But it was already decided. Not really. You got in a position for the race. I will stay with Cove. I'm gonna do something else. Let's stay with Cove. I'm sorry, but this sounds really mean. Like, oh yeah, no, we're gonna have fun and you can just watch. That's just mean. That's probably maybe the okay, I don't. Okay, maybe the sister is trying to be mean, but I'm not certain. I guess I'm gonna do something else is also an option. I don't think I want to join in with this race. I'm gonna do something else. What? You didn't feel much like racing. You told Lizzie the very same thing, and she wrinkled her nose at you. But the race is always better with more people. I want you to play too. Shrugging your shoulders, you refused to budge, and Lizzie let out a huff, before throwing her hands in the air. I almost swapped around the words hands and air, so I would have said throwing her air into the hands. I don't know what to think of it. What would that be like? Is that like a really weird way of saying like breathing in the hands to like warm them up or something? I don't know. Fine. I will be the winner whenever you join or not. Lizzie moved to lay down and Shiloh did the same.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. You turned and wandered back to the other side of the hill, deciding how to spend your time. Your plan was to... Okay, do you want to stargaze or watch the ocean? I feel like fireflies, I don't have to catch more. We caught more than we could count. Which is 10, which isn't a lot, but still. I feel like stargazing could be fun, but we could also just sit down and watch the ocean. Now you finally get the view. What's stargaze? That's basically just looking up at the sky and watching the stars. It's like cloud gazing. So instead of watching the ocean, you would be watching the stars. Okay, you like stars, we're gonna watch the stars. We're probably not gonna see a picture though, but the character is doing it. You laid back in the grass, watching the stars blinking in the sky, almost as brightly as the fireflies that were crossing your vision. The sky was so huge you wondered what the names of all the stars up there were. Probably like B, Z, 1 through 3, 2, 0, O. Those scientists just add a bunch of like letters and numbers together and say, is this the name of the star? One day you would learn them all. You probably will not, but sure. You remembered the time when you had once looked through a telescope in a friend's backyard. It was great being able to get a closer look at everything up there. And you had even caught a glimpse of Mars, although it had mostly just looked like a red colored star. We will learn but forget after a day. Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. That's mostly how I learn. Like, yeah, okay, we learn it. I remember it for like a day or two, and then I forget. Or my brain thinks it's really important information, and I will remember it for years, even if it's like the most useless information I know. You yawned loudly and let your eyes close. It had been a long day, and the grass beneath you was so comfortable and soft. You didn't know how long you lay there before you heard the sound of shuffling feet and Lizzie's voice calling out to you. True, time to go home. Your head perked up at the sound of your name, and you followed it over to Lizzie, sad that the night was over so soon. It had gotten late and was beginning to feel just a bit chilly as you made your way out of the hills, but the cold in the air hadn't dampened anyone's spirits. The four of you walked back home together side by side down your neighborhood street, discussing the evening, with each person trying to prove that they were the one who caught the most fireflies. You knew that whoever really did catch the most didn't matter much anyway. All that mattered was that you all had good time, which, judging by the smiles on everyone's faces, you did. And that was the last moment. From like, or well, we have the DLCs, but I don't have those. And I probably won't be buying them until I've finished the game. That was not me reading your sentence while I was talking and just going very, very Wilson moment. It was very cute. I also liked the shopping one. The shopping one was also very cute. Anyway, it's time to move on from the childhood. No, wait, no. We need to... Let's save first that we, like, finished everything. And then when I get DLCs, if I get DLCs, let's put it that way, I can play from here and then just finish the DLCs. It's not like I don't have enough saving space anyway, because it goes to, like, 20. Now we're gonna end summer. Yes, I am sure. Isn't DLC expensive? Not for this game. Like, the game itself is free on, like, Steam and itch.io, I think. And the DLCs are, like, €3 to €5, I believe. I can quickly look on Steam. I have Steam open. Hold up. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 7 DLCs. One is a free DLC for like voiced name expansion. So basically, you can like choose names that the characters will call out. So instead of them now saying just true and not hearing anything, you would hear a voice call out the name. But there is one from like €7.40, but most of them are like around €3 or €2. So it is not really expensive. It's a great game, and I feel like the DLCs could be a lot of fun. Let's move on. I will never get tired of that view. You stood beside your moms and Lizzie as the four of you watched the sun dip into the ocean somewhere far, far away. You like to imagine it cooling off in the water, resting itself before getting ready to shine brightly again tomorrow. I'm assuming we're still in the childhood phase because I would not understand a teenager thinking the sun would dip into the water. That's some flat earth stuff, and I don't think even flat earthers believe like the sun touches the earth. I hope they are smart enough to realize that like that would just burn up the entire earth. That was a fun day. I didn't know they had magicians on the shopping street now. Neither did I. Oh no, we are so dull. Let's get out more. You didn't do real magic, Mom. How did you figure that one out?
Duh.
'Cause I know that's not what real magic looks like. No, 'cause real magic is like sparkly and light-giving. Duh. Oh, Lizzie, dear, there's all kind of magic in the world. Lizzie gave Mommy a suspicious look, but didn't dispute the claim. Well, we can sit out here all night. Time to hurry home and get cooking. Who's helping with dinner? Lizzie immediately let out a groan.
Ugh.
Mom, summer's almost over. The protest was obvious. You could practically see school on the horizon. You certainly didn't want to spend your last bits of freedom cooking dinner. You could do that any other day. Please, can we just play a little longer? Playing before it's too late. We have to keep playing before it's too late. What's going to happen is like the end of the world nearby. That's what you make it. For a kid, probably school is the end of the world now I think about it, so fair enough. Yeah, let's beg them to play a little bit longer. I feel like that's a good thing to do. Mom looked down at you with a sigh. You clasp your hands together to give your plea some extra appeal. We will help with dinner tomorrow. You immediately nodded in agreement with the very clever offer, shifting closer to Lizzie, since your parents can't possibly resist the power of you two combining. Or combined, whatever.
Please?
Soon we will have homework and reading to do. We can do work now too. Lizzie made her case and then stomped her foot into the ground. You mimicked her, feeling that would add something to the argument. Well...
No.
Oh, come on, Pam. I can help you with dinner. Mommy leaned in for a hug, and you knew that you were very close to victory.
Okay.
All right. But as soon as dinner is ready, you lot are coming inside. Understood? Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom. I guess I also had this in my childhood. But most of the time we would just like go eat dinner inside and then immediately just go outside again. But yeah, I also had with like neighbor kids, I guess, not wanting to go inside. I can remember quite a few times where I just didn't want to go inside. But yeah, I feel like every child had that at one point, like having so much fun you don't want it to stop. So much to do, so little time. Maybe I could still get the seashell bracelet at Tinny's and Trinkets. Or Tines and Trinkets. Oh, or maybe the playground? Or the fireflies would probably be coming out, right? Don't I get a say in this? You suddenly made your own plans. We can't go too far, I'm going home. We pleaded to our parents to please have a few more minutes. Your sisters start deciding what you're gonna do and you immediately run after your mom's like, nope, I'm gonna go home. Goodbye. Don't I have a say in this? Lizzie looked over at you, narrowing her eyes like she was very seriously complimenting the answer to that question. A strong gust of wind made you shiver. Lizzie huffed as she wrapped her arms around herself.
Rude.
Doesn't the wind know that summer's not over yet? I think the wind doesn't care about that. That's all Lizzie said before abruptly turning on her heel and heading off in the direction your mother has gone. Are we just gonna go home? Did we plead for nothing? Where are you going? I'm going to my room. I have lots to plan if I want to make the most of tomorrow. You thought this was over, looking off towards the water again. Lizzie didn't wait, and before long she was disappearing off down the road. I'm gonna stay outside. I begged the moms to be outside for like a few minutes longer. Why would you go inside? You watched Lizzie run off, twisting your lips as you considered what to do. In the end, the pretty sky and the soothing sound of the waves won out. You strayed off the path, grinning at the feeling of sand quickly filling in the empty space in your flip-flops. That was fun for a while, but you grew bored eventually. How else could you enjoy the remainder of your time at the beach? You drew in the wet sand, you roamed around, you looked for seashells. I like drawing things in wet sand, but seashells are also really pretty. But drawing in sand reminds me of How to Tame Your Dragon. We're gonna draw in the sand. Even if it probably gets, like, washed away by this ocean, I don't care. You looked around until you found a sturdy twig, then made your way to the shoreline, where you doodled and wrote a few words. It was a race against the waves, which would roll in to erase your hard work. It was a great evening, but soon enough you had your fill and were ready to join the rest of your family back home. Stickman. Yeah, that could also be it, yeah. But it was more like writing things and not really drawing things. Not too much farther down, you spotted a familiar green head of hair, moistening along the shores. I want to stay outside. Why does it give me the options to go inside so many times? Isn't it clear that I want to stay outside? Curious, you strayed off your path and walked over to him. Cove knelt down, picking up something you quickly identified as a smooth rock. He reared his arm back and tossed it into the water. Fair enough, I could still change my mind, I guess. Especially since the mom said you were supposed to be getting home not too long after, but who listens to their parents? You're impressed on how far he got it to go. Great toss, that was pretty neat. Okay, so he did a great toss or he did a terrible one. I feel like he would be able to throw a rock pretty far. That was pretty neat. That's a thing I say way too much. Like, that was neat. You can't skip rock in the ocean. What are you doing? You look for, I'm gonna find my own rock. Now I want to throw rocks into the ocean. Why would I not do that? Throwing rocks in water is like one of my favorite activities if I'm like next to a river. Not even like trying to make them bounce on the water, just throwing them in. I don't know what is so amusing about it, but I like it. Deciding to join Cove, you searched for any nearby rocks or shells that you could throw to. Cove jumped a little when he noticed you, and you gave a shrug and a smile, realizing you sort of forgotten to announce yourself. Fair enough that spooked him. You found a shell that could suit your purpose, a smile growing as you tossed it as hard as you could. It landed with a wet-sounding thunk a few feet away and slipped down into the water. When you looked over at Cove, he didn't seem to notice that his throw had been more impressive. Cove was looking down at his cast, scratching idly at the pink surface, even though you were pretty sure he couldn't feel it. Of course you can't feel it. Or maybe you can feel the pressure if you like press hard enough, but that's probably not the thing. He's not trying to scratch his arm. His brows were furrowed and there was a frown on his face.
It's not fair.
It's not fair. I had to wear this cast for ages. I can't even swim. I feel like asking how did you get it is more important than asking when is he gonna get rid of it. Like, we don't really care if it's like a day or a week. But I don't know how he broke his arm. That has never been told. Give me the answers. Jet skiing! I was jet skiing! Who takes a child jet skiing? Okay. Honestly, again, not the answer I expected. Really? Cove narrowed his eyes a little. I'm believing you, it just sounds a bit extreme. Yeah, why would I lie? Fair enough. I didn't mean it like that. He then continued to explain. I crashed. He gestured to his arm as if to say, and this was the result. Imagine saying cool. I mean, jet skiing does look pretty cool. But who lets a 9-year-old, probably alone on a jet ski? Like, I could understand if there was like an adult in front and then he was just sitting like behind. I don't know if that's possible on a jet ski, but then I could basically understand it. I think I had, you know, like the snowmobiles. I was in a very controlled environment as a child when they let me ride one for like a few minutes. Basically, all I could do was going around in circles. And there were like adults all around me to make sure I wasn't going too fast or things like that. Who leaves a child alone on the open ocean probably, or at least some open water probably, on a jet ski? That's just asking to get people hurt, either the child or someone they ran over. It's hard to believe you're allowed to jet ski. That's what I'm saying.
Whoa.
He stole the jet ski, didn't he? Honestly, that makes a lot of sense. Well, I'm not. Oh. Cove let out a huff, plopping down into the sand. Can't believe summer's almost over. You sat down next to him and nodded in agreement, regardless of the sudden topic change. I don't want to go to school. I mean, I would. I don't want to go to a new school. I think it will be the same school as you and Lizzie. My dad said something about that. So why don't you want to go? It's nice as far as school goes. You'd only ever been to one school, but you were sure that his old school couldn't even been that much better. Then again, you did have to make new friends and meet new teachers. It could be kind of scary. Dude, I already disliked it when I had to switch schools from like elementary to high school and from high school to like higher education. I would probably have really disliked it if I had to switch schools like mid-year or something. Not even mid-year, just like mid-education. Okay, this was not even me switching schools. This was me like switching like, not grade, but like study level. I don't know if they have it outside of the Netherlands. I went to the 3 schools and the one I'm in is the best thing ever. I went to 4 schools now that I think about it. I just skipped over like a second high school I did. But then for like adults, because I looked at my high school and went, as much as I want to like up it another level and do like VWO, I don't want to stay at this high school. So I just went to one that's made for like adults to get their education. Because I was 18. Then again, you just have to make me. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Cove shook his head, then wrapped his arm around his knees as he drew them to his chest. You heard a sniffling sound, and when you took a good look at his face, you realized that his eyes were wet. I'm gonna Google what that is, because honestly, I have no clue. But I am curious, so I want answers. Oh, that sounds nice. Yeah, okay, nice. Yeah. That makes sense. I don't know what kind of school I went to. I went to a school, and I went through MAFO, HAFO, VWO, and I'm really bad at studying, and somehow I made it through high school twice, or well, once plus a bit extra. You heard a sniffling sound, and you looked when you took a good look at his face. You realized that his eyes were wet.
I go home.
You gotta pay the exams. Okay. I want to go home. Oh, kid, poor kid. No, this is getting depressing and we're just talking about school. It was cool. What happened, from like elementary school, I was placed on like MAFO. In the second year, my teachers realized I was doing nothing except kind of paying attention in class. So they were like, okay, if you get like above a 7.5 for every subject, like, what's it called? In total, you go to HAFO. So from second year through third year, I switched like a level up. And then I completed my HAFO. And then I decided, I don't know what I want to do with my life. So I went another level up. And then when I finished that, I decided I'm going to HBO. So I didn't even have to level up anymore. But in the end, I only paid for my HAFO, I think. I honestly don't know what got paid and what got not. There was a whole thing going on and I didn't really care about the money that much. Which feels very entitled to say, but I was just lucky. Like, I got the chance to do it. So I did. We weren't sure what to do. It felt weird to just leave him here crying. But what could you say that would help? You frowned a little, starting to stand. Yeah, no, I was really, well, not lucky with, not really lucky, but I guess I just got placed on such a low level that my teachers were like, if we're gonna keep you here, you're gonna become even lazier than you are now. Joke's on them, I have stayed as lazy, or even lazier than I was the first 2 years of high school. As in, most of the time I only study and do homework if I need to. I am still really good at avoiding school things and somehow passing classes. Okay, well, by then, we didn't even get the choice. We're just gonna leave him crying? Why? Okay. Cove gave his head a small shake. No, I want to go back home. Oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Right. Cove wanted to go back to his old home. The one that sat waiting someplace far from here. The one he would bring up whenever he felt this sad. It had been a while since he had moved in, but he didn't seem to feel any better about being here. Which is fair, to be honest. From what I understood, the breakup between his parents was like sudden and bad. He settled back down into the sand, trying to consider what to do. Do you hate it here? This can be your home. Okay, never ever tell someone it will be alright. When you're feeling down, that's like the worst thing you can hear. Oh yeah, no, it will be better. Yeah, but it's not better now. Can't we do something about the bad feelings now instead of hoping it will just fix itself? Let's go with this can be your home. Oh, and he started crying more. Oh no. It's a really nice home if you give it a chance. Cove didn't respond to that. He just tightened his arm around his knees, resting his chin on them. And he started crying even more. We're not going to leave, right? You'll be still around. Oh my god, the kid got abandonment issues! Oh no! Yeah, no, we're gonna stay. I don't care anymore. We're not leaving you. The question was a little surprising. Of course, nothing I don't know. We're gonna stay. You're not getting rid of us anymore. You're stuck with us now. Your parents would have mentioned if they were going to move or something, right? I don't think that's what he meant. I meant more like you're gonna stay around him. Yeah, no, this took a turn. This got really sad really fast. After a second, Gove gave a little nod. Did his mom just stop contacting them? Is that what is going on? This is when did this mom really go like, oh, okay, you're taking the child. Okay, he's not my problem anymore. Goodbye, and then just left. I feel terrible. Once I get my cast off, we could go swimming. You were fine with him changing the subject again. Yes, please, I don't want to start crying. Yeah, that would be fun. Sounds like a you problem now. I think that's basically how the mom went, yes. Like, I don't know much, because it was like only a few sentences, but like the clues I could pick up from the rest of the story. It sounded like the parents had a pretty bad breakup and the mom just went like, oh, you know this? Yeah, this is not mine anymore. Goodbye. And I will take the house and everything. You guys can move. Cove smiled and looked back to the waves. My dad keeps saying I will get used to everything eventually. That I'd feel better then. It used to make me angry. I didn't want to get used to everything. He spared a glance over at Cove and saw the anger had slipped off his face in favor of something almost puzzled. But maybe they would be okay after all. As long as I really do feel better. I can see it. The two of you sat quietly, just taking in the sounds of the waves. Lost in thought, you started a bit when you heard started. It really said started. I thought it meant startled, but okay. A bit when you heard a faint, familiar sound. The sound of your mom shouting your name. You looked over your shoulder, realizing it was probably time for dinner. Had you guys really been sitting out here for that long? You stood up and dusted the sand off yourself. Remember what I say about I will be staying? Yeah, no, I'm leaving you. Goodbye, I'm gonna have dinner with my parents. My mom's calling, it's time for dinner. You should come. Cove looked up at you, expression screaming reluctance. Yet, ultimately... Okay, never mind. We're not leaving you, we're just taking you with us. Apparently you're our problem now. When you smiled, Cove returned one of his own. But the two of you couldn't stay there in your own little world any longer. You were being called forward. So the both of you ran off towards your house, leaving the waves and summer behind. That was a really sad but sweet ending of like the first chapter. In between. Is this the moment we... Yeah, okay. So that's the character I have created. That's just True Hope that you have been seeing. I don't really think I want to change the character. I kind of like the design. It feels weird to change the name. We can just add a random scar on the face. Oh, we have unlocked acne. How nice. That's what every teenager wants, right? Acne. Maybe we should add earrings. Kinda like the earring 6. Oh no. That's a bit much. I think I'm gonna add the earrings and not much else. But yeah, I don't really need to change anything here. Braces? No, thanks. You feel like playing Ori again. I can't wait to see. Yeah, I will probably I don't know. I feel like either if I continue streaming this weekend, but I don't know because I have quite a lot of homework. So maybe I will continue next weekend. I'm not certain yet. Okay, yeah, this can stay the same. We can stay direct, but I guess we're now fond of the kid. Yeah, honestly, I like hearing that you like enjoy a game, but that's never gonna pressure me in like playing a game, because like the whole reason I'm streaming is that I can actually play games and like focus on the game and enjoy them while also sharing it with other people. Anyway, I feel like I should explain this part of the game for a little bit. Basically, the comfort side, the direct, relaxed, nervous, is how you respond to Cove. So we're relaxed. So our responses, I don't know if like the answers you can pick change, but like we respond relaxed. So maybe it changed like the tone of what we say. And on the interest side, you have indifference, fond, crush, love. Indifference is what we were before. I have now quite actually grown fond of Cove as a character. The thing is, though, why I was still on indifference is you can only move up. So we're gonna choose fond now. And then I will lose the ability. First, I'm gonna save. We're gonna lose the ability to go back to indifference. Then we're just stuck with that feeling, basically. Okay, no worries. Yeah, I was explaining this screen, but basically, what I just picked up is how my character views Gove. So at the moment, we're relaxed towards him, and we're fond of him. And that's basically a summary of what I was explaining. Yeah. Customize Cove. Choose to customize Cove yourself, or let this prior experience determine it for you. Oh. I kind of want to let the game just create the Cove the game wants. I don't really want to influence it, to be honest. Well, I do think that could be really nice. I kind of just want to see what type of Cove I have created. Honestly, out of curiosity, if I'm gonna Google quickly. I want to see if I choose Nah, from what I see online, I would just let it do itself. So, neither? August ended, September began. It was time to go back to school. Lizzie groaned and complained the entire first week. She hated going to classes. Still, there were interesting things to do that couldn't be done anywhere else. You weren't sure how Cove felt about it, but he was enrolled that year. There was like a sign Cove would be staying in Sunset Bird for a while. At school he was alright, but kept his distance from the other kids, from what you saw anyway. Teenage friendship. Start playing step 2 using the font interest level. Interesting. That was an achievement I got. Sorry, I got distracted. Originally, he treated you like everyone else, passing by as if you didn't know each other. But as the years went on, the two of you acknowledged each other more and more. A friendship had started to grow. That year, the divorce of Cove's parents was finalized. Okay, so indeed, there was a divorce. You overheard your parents talking about it, saying Cove's dad got full custody. Okay. At first, you were worried that meant bad news. That had made Mr. Holden cry, apparently. Oh no. Then you found out it meant Cove would keep living with his dad. He would only stay with his mom a few weeks of the year. Cove cried too. For different reasons, you thought. It seemed like Cove and his dad might move again, but Mr. Holden decided to stay after all. Mom asked him about it once. He had said he didn't want to uproot Cove's life a second time. Mr. Holden tried to get Cove to like Sunset Bird more. He kept encouraging his son to go out and see the place. Sometimes Mr. Holden volunteered you to spend time with Cove. Wait, so he would just throw me under the bus? Like he would go, you know who wants to spend time with you? True. Go play with True. Like, dude, no. Why? Are you still paying me? If you're doing that, I at least want to see the money again. You weren't sure how well it worked in changing Cove's thoughts on the town. Yet, it might have been part of the reason you and Cove ended up growing closer. Cove never talked to anyone about what happened with his parents and withdrew whenever it was brought up. It was hard for him, yet nobody knew how to help. Eventually, Cove stopped crying on his own. You couldn't understand what had changed. Still, you worried about him. You could tell he wasn't completely happy. Maybe one day he could say out loud what he felt inside. That's called searching a therapist. I feel like this kid needs a therapist. Is that just me? Like, he went through an entire life-changing event of like his parents removing, his parents divorcing, and then like moving probably very far away with his dad. And everyone is just like, oh yeah, no, this kid can handle it. He doesn't need to talk to anybody. After that, it felt like things had gone back to normal. Except what was normal didn't stay the same. Years passed and suddenly you were in middle school. You weren't a kid anymore. You were 13 years old. That's most definitely still a kid, but okay. Yeah, this kid can totally deal with this trauma. He's just crying in his room every day, you know, like the normal things kids do to like cope with the trauma they have. They officially made you a teen, even if your sister didn't agree. Dude, you're 13, that's still a child. I don't care if it's like a teenager. Teenagers are still children. The toys and crayons that used to litter every free space in your room had been packed away somewhere, replaced by new hobbies. There were other changes too. Cove cast got taken off. I hope? What do you want? That the dude just has to wear the cast for like the rest of his life? It was weird to see him without it, initially. Underneath the pink plaster ended up being a long, thin scar that snaked across his forearm. Cove's chest puffed out in pride when someone drew attention to it. He also went through a major growth spurt. He was the tallest student in his class for 2 years in a row. Cove will probably hold that spot again next time. In class, people knew him for more than just being tall. He also stood out because of how well he did in gym and other athletic situations. Over the years, he began opening up more, too. You saw him talking amicably with other kids or neighbors from time to time. And the only kid that came to visit the neighborhood when you were little, Shiloh, well, he was gone. No! Give me Shiloh back! He and his mom moved back south because of her work, just 1 year after Cove came to Sunset Bird. It'd been really upsetting when he left. Lizzie was inconsolable for weeks. But nobody talked about Shiloh anymore. It was a long time ago. No, give me the kid back. Give me... No. You're not allowed to make me like a character, only to take him away. I thought this was a happy story. You learned some heartbreaking things, became less sad the further away they were, even if they had never gotten any better. That was sad in its own way. Things at home were different too. You still lived in the same house and all that, but it wasn't how it was before. Ma dyed her hair purple, wanting something new, and liked it so much she kept dyeing it. You remembered calling her mommy as a kid, but something like that seemed awkward nowadays. You were much too old for that word. Lizzie felt too mature for her nickname too. She insisted on everyone calling her Elizabeth. So you did. Your mom soon gave her permission to go places other than the playground and shopping street, which she took advantage of. You rarely saw her around the old neighborhood. In fact, she hardly spent time with you the way she did before. Elizabeth instead associated more and more with girls from school who were her own age. Good night. I hope you sleep well, and you're fun to talk to. I can now honestly say you're a nice person to talk to. So I hope to see you again soon. I had fun talking with you too. I'm probably gonna wrap up the stream after this whole talking bit anyway. Maybe the difference between 13 and 15 was greater than the difference between 8 and 10. Yeah, it's pretty much different phases of life. You started befriending new people yourself, like Dark Suarez? I butchered that name, I'm sorry. You didn't live in the neighborhood or go to the same school. What happened was his and Cove's dad struck up a business partnership a few months ago. Since then, Derek would pop up in the area now and then. It seems Mr. Oh no, you're gonna make me... Okay, hold up. We have text-to-speech for this exact reason.
Lost Glitch _ wants to say Suarez.
Suarez, sure. Good night! I hope you sleep well. Mr. Suarez was happy to let Derek tackle on to his work if Derek had time for it. Without a doubt, everyone and everything around you had changed. In small and big ways, you had too. As time went by, though, it was easy to settle into this new normal. Then, before you knew it, school was over and summer vacation had come again. It was the first day of summer vacation. The sun was as hot as ever, but you were inside and away from its harsh rays. To be more specific, you were snuggled up in bed, celebrating your time off by sleeping in. Wide awake, about to head off to enjoy your time. I would probably stay in bed and sleep in. But I want to have at least some kind of active character. I don't want a character that's like me and just sleeps for most of the time. I'm wide awake, about to head off and enjoy my time off. I made sure to slender on a generous amount of sunscreen, so you didn't get burned. You were looking in the mirror, studying the clothes you'd thrown on, when your bedroom door opened without a warning. In the reflection, you saw Elizabeth raise an eyebrow. Have you been staring at yourself this whole morning? Could you knock next time? That's something. I don't like people barging into my room without knocking. She ignored that, crossing her arms over her chest with a disgruntled expression. Clearly, she hadn't come in just to see you. Mom told me to tell you that your friend's at the door. He bought some happy summer gift from Mr. Holden. Mom wants you to take it from him Say thanks or whatever. Oh my god, she has really turned into a teenager.
Come on.
So come on down already. Fine. Elizabeth said nothing else and left, having done what was instructed of her. Now alone, you focused on the mirror once again. Your reflection hardly even fit in the frame. You were very tall. I'm not very tall. Your reflection went over the whole length of the mirror. You're pretty tall. Your reflection fit comfortably in the frame. Your average height. There was a lot of open real estate in the frame. You're pretty short. You had trouble getting your reflection to appear in the mounted mirror frame. You're very short. I'm average height. I feel okay. So like for a Dutch person, I'm probably about average height. For another Dutch person, I am most definitely probably not an average height. Especially when you like go to non-Western countries. Cove was really tall. Jack was kind of short, and you were pretty much the exact height as someone who expect for a 13-year-old. Sure. Why would you dislike your height? It suited you well in your mind. Then you put the finishing touches on your outfit while ruminating on the situation. Carelessly as they had been, Elizabeth's words piqued your curiosity. You planned on going over to see what Cove was up to, so this worked in your favor. Your reflection grinned back at you. You were looking forward to seeing him. You left your room, taking an easy time down the stairs. Step 2. Second chance? You spotted Mom first. Reclined on the couch, she held a magazine in her hands, which she was pursuing through. Morning, Mom. She looked up at the greeting, a smile instantly appearing on her face.
Thanks.
Good morning, True. Thank you for coming down. No problem, I guess. Ma's at the door with Cove. He can't stay over today, unfortunately. Why don't you go and thank him before he leaves? You nod and make your way to the front of the house. Just as she said, Ma was there making conversation. She must have heard you because she'd really looked over her shoulder.
Oh?
Really? Already, probably. Hold up. Log. Because she looked over her shoulder. Okay, I just added an entire word. Great. Look who's finally made it. Morning, sleepyhead. Ma reached forward, and you knew she was about to pat your head. She was taller than average. You were little in her eyes, despite being a typical size for your own age. Are they just gonna keep repeating my length? You happily let her do it. Yeah, sure, why not? That type of small, affectionate exchange was nice. She placed the whole of her hand on the top of your head for a second before lifting it back up. Ah, you're the last one down today, you know that? Life isn't a race. Yes, let's get poetic in the morning. Morning. I was going to stay in longer, but you're welcome. Poetic, sarcastic, or like sarcastic. Sorry about the wait. What did we get? Life isn't a race. I'm gonna go with that. Funny. I don't think that excuse will work if you're late for for anyone other than your own mother, though. Probably not. With a small laugh, Ma stepped aside. Cove was just as you remembered, exactly how you came to know him to be. He has long hair. He leaned uncomfortably to the side in your doorway, but his bushy hair covered part of his face. His features were pinched in embarrassment, and he shifted from one foot to another. He was holding what must be the much talked about gift. At first glance, you figured it must be a bouquet of flowers. Then you gave it a real look. No, instead it was carefully cut fruit. It made a lot of sense that it was actually from Cove's dad. You had to suppress a laugh at this showing. You couldn't imagine many folks buying that sort of thing for their own personal enjoyment. Nah, not really, no. That kind of arrangement was built for the presentation, likely to impress whoever was inevitably going to receive it. It seemed no matter how long he lived here, Mr. Holden would keep going out of his way to be neighborly, and Cove would always be roped into participating. Cove smiled slightly at the sight of you, the sting of his goofy errand. He was clearly apparent to be uneasy. Hey, True. You earnestly grinned back. It wasn't weird at all, like it used to be when you were kids. As time passed, the two of you started to enjoy each other's company. Now, you actually considered him a good friend, and not someone who you were forced to be around by your families. I didn't think that in childhood. You're just making that up, True. Even if you're the character experiencing it, I guess. Hey, it's really nice to see you. Yeah, you too. And you were certain he meant that agreement. It was already shaping up to be another long summer with plenty of time for the two of you to have fun together. His arguments over the task started to creep back in, so Cove nudged the gift closer to you. He was ready to be relieved of it. And with that, the gift was accepted. Oh my god, he's really pretty. I hope you and your family like this. It's a pretty good gift. I think so anyway. He smiled earnestly. Dad spent a lot of time picking out the best size and design. There were so many options to choose from. You're too cute sometimes! Should we respond normally by saying thanks or thank you? Or should we just flirt and call him cute? I'm gonna go flirt, I don't care. Ah, true. Just thank my dad for all this, okay? Alright. Mr. Holden's behavior really was different from any neighbor you'd ever had, though after 5 years you were used to his antics, and you'd since made up your mind on what your opinion was. He was nice, he was sort of funny, he was pretty weird, you didn't like him, he was great and kinda handsome to boot. We're not gonna think our friend's dad is handsome, no we're not. He was nice. He was great, actually. He gave us a bouquet of fruit. Though there were some things people didn't like about Mr. Holden, you didn't mind them and liked him quite a bit. Your thoughts were quickly interrupted by a shout. There you are! You shared a confused look with Cove, as both of you stepped through the open door onto the neighborhood street. It didn't take long to locate the source of the noise. You spotted Derek. Just a few yards down the road, he ran up to you. Oh, you can see the scar, that's interesting. You were happy at the sight of him, you were confused at the sight of him. We're happy. It's a friend, right? Derek was certainly a welcome guest in your neighborhood. It was a pleasant surprise whenever he showed up. After stopping a couple steps away, Derek hunched over to catch his breath. Then he looked up with a wide grin.
Hey.
Hey guys, and pal. Oh, guy and pal. Oh, he really is a lot shorter, or Cove is just really tall. I guess my character is then like in between. I was just at your house, Cove, but no one was there. Should have figured you'd be at True's place. Do you ever spend time in your own home, or are you always just there? Derek laughed at his own joke. He either didn't notice that it embarrassed Cove, or the embarrassment was what he was actually laughing at. Probably the later one. Derek turned to you. He was going to say more when his eyes widened and he gasped. What is that? You followed his gaze, unsure that you realized what he meant. You were still holding Mr. Holden's gift. It's kind of like a bouquet of flowers, but made of fruit.
Nice.
Nice, can I have some? Sure, we can share. I haven't even tried any yet. It's a gift for my family, I can't give it to you. Maybe you can have some later. Let's go with the later option, because I don't think we should go eat fruit right now, especially if it's meant for our family. Derek grew even more excited by your words, pouncing on the ball of his feet. Awesome. Then he nodded his head as if to clear it. Anyway, that's right. I came here because I needed to say something big. He paused, possibly for a fact. There's some other kid here in Sunset Bird. Cove was as surprised as you were by the news. Such a reaction made sense. No one around your age had moved here since Cove did 5 years ago. Were they with their family? Maybe they were cutting through. Nuh-uh, the new kid was all by himself, just walking. Did you talk to him?
Nope.
Nope, I came to report the sighting right away. What are we gonna do? Are we gonna hunt the poor kid down? The kid had green hair, glasses, was pretty small and seemed really upset about something. I hope he didn't leave. You blinked, slowly looked over to your longtime neighbor. That sounds a lot like you, Cove, when you first got here anyway. Kinda does, doesn't it? That's weird. He sounded almost fond, a small smile playing on his lips. Derek snickered good-naturedly. I can see that really well, now that you say so. But what do you say? Let's go find Cove's look-alike. We should all meet him. We're really gonna hunt a poor kid down that just moved here. Sure. I would do it. Sure, I want to see who this person is. Derek grinned. Then he pointed down the street the way he came. Last I saw him, the mystery visitor was going this direction. Nothing else needed to be said. The three of you were off, with Derek leading the way. Derek brought you to the beach, and as a trio, you made your way down the shore to the old playground. You walked the familiar path in a comfortable silence. When you were almost there, you spotted the kid in question. His bright color almost shone like a beacon beneath the rays of sun. He shuffled around, kicking up the sand as he paced. It was true. He certainly seemed upset, but you didn't think he was sad, like you had originally pictured. No, with his erratic movements and scrunched up expression, he came off angry. You started to have doubts about this expedition. Maybe it'll be better if you left him alone and let him sort himself out. Derek didn't feel the same. He waved wildly, calling out to the boy. Hey, guy, over here! Oh, that kid looks angry! Jeez! The kid whipped around, an impressive scroll carving deep onto his face. His eyes were tired, but a strong hostile energy were radiating from him.
What?
What? What is this? What do you want? The sharp tone made Derek flinch. He shifted on his feet. What's your name? Jeremy. What that is? Oh, what that is? What?
No.
No, I'm Derek. That is Drew and Cove. We were just walking around and saw you. We wanted to say hi. There aren't a lot of kids around our age in the neighborhood. Yeah, so, you know, it seemed cool. It's cool to see someone else here. Strangely, Jeremy grew furious by your response. If steam could erupt from a person's ear, it would have happened then. They did bring me somewhere stupid. Of course, I knew it. What?
My parents.
My parents, they're the ones who brought me here. I didn't walk to this town. Can you just not figure that out on your own?
Right.
Right, my dad brings me here to Sunset Bird too, when he comes for work and all that stuff. It's not bad. That earned him a glare from Jeremy. Derek winced beneath it, glancing away. It was a struggle to remain friendly with this Jeremy guy. I mean, I wouldn't want to come here for a real vacation, probably either. That's an understatement. This doesn't count as a vacation, it's a waste of time. A chore. My parents' family is nearby and we just had to come see them. Ugh. If they're your parents' family, doesn't that make them your family too?
I guess.
I guess. Okay. Yeah, okay, that's logical. That's a pretty good reason to come by. Did you want to go somewhere else? No. Jeremy crossed his arm with a huff. He turned away. They should have gone by themselves, since they cared so much and left me home. But I'm not allowed to be by myself. Pfft. It makes no sense. They're the ones who don't know how to do anything, and I'm the kid? You kept quiet. You should talk about your parents like that. No, you're allowed to talk to parents like that. About parents like that. It's logical. Or just kids. Or they're just kids. Sorry, sucked you for something you don't want to. That seems like the most logical option at the moment. We just said hello. You don't have to keep complaining to us. Calm down. You don't have to yell so much. Who peed in your cereal this morning? I like that one, but I don't want to piss the kid off even more, so we're going with this one. As if that does anything. You turn to Cove, lowering your voice. The two of you aren't that similar after all. Jeremy must have had good hearing, though, because he caught your private exchange and scoffed.
Stupid.
Of course we're not similar. My eyebrows aren't stupid. Don't talk about a dude's eyebrows. Cove cheeks flushed crimson at the insult. You couldn't be sure if it was out of embarrassment or anger. Maybe both. Come on. No, Cove's wavy eyebrows are cool. How can you say that when you have got a bowl cut? Oh no. Yep, it's embarrassing and awful, but my parents made me. I won't have to have it when I'm older. I don't know what he's gonna do with those things, except maybe shave them off. He probably should. I bet you look less dumb with no eyebrows. No, stop bullying him. He patted Cove on the shoulder. We can fight a kid. We don't have to threaten it anymore. We can do it, but no. Yeah, no, we're gonna fight the kid. With your fist balled, you make a quick step forward. He was the one who started things. You were ready to end them. Do I really want to fight a kid? I'm really gonna fight a kid. You made it clear that the words wouldn't work, leaving you to resort to no actions. You weren't sure what would happen, but you couldn't let this stand. Derek and Cove jumped in to stop you from before you reached him. They each grabbed you by the arm. Still, Jeremy instinctively stumbled backwards. He practically fell over. If that's all you can do about what I'm saying, it's just proving I'm right. You're brainless. You were annoyed. The other two were against you on this and got in the way. Though the reaction you had been able to get was still worth it. Whoa, what is wrong with you? Which one, me or the dude? Instead of taking offense, Jeremy only patted Derek's words in a nasty voice.
Wow, what is wrong with you?
This is dumb. Jeremy stuck out his tongue and sulked away, throwing more scent everywhere as he went. You watched him go, hunched over, until he became a speck in your vision. Silence reigned in his wake. The three of you tried to process what just happened. I can't believe it. What a mean kid. Derek wasn't kidding. And by the sound of those earlier complaints, the new boy Jeremy was going to be in the area for at least a little while. This summer. Derek sighed in dismay, plopping onto the ground. You followed, and Cove did too shortly after. There wasn't much else to do.
This sucks.
It sucks. I was hoping we could meet someone fun, hang out maybe. He shook his head. After a moment, he slowly turned to you with a hopeful expression. But you know what would really improve today? What? Fruit? He didn't respond. Instead, he used a hand to point right at the fruit arrangement. You were still... Why are we still holding it? At that point, this is just my question. You completely forgot about it during the mini-drama that unfolded. You had gotten used to the wait. Wait, I was about to be the kid with fruit? That's no. Glancing over to Cove, you noticed that he was eyeing the fruit. He must have wanted some too. Why not? Let's eat. Dirk perked up immediately at the words. He reached out for the skewer hesitantly, slightly, once he was inches away.
Are you sure?
Oh, are you sure? You nodded. An urged grin, he plucked out the prime row of fruits. Cove grabbed one for himself after him. Only you were about without a skewer of your own. Fine. Oh no, I need to grab one. Strawberry! The strawberry was bright red and beckoned you. It was the obvious first choice. Derek ate a pineapple skewer enthusiastically. Okay, I just said it on Dutch. I'm okay with that. Finishing it within moments. This is amazing.
It's nice.
It tasted pretty nice. And this fruit kebab thing is so fun. Hey, you two remember the land before time? That fruit thing makes me think of it. The dinosaurs all like the leaves that were shaped like stars. 3 stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, something leaves. Looked so delicious when they did it. And there was that scene where the pretty tree, with the pretty trees, and all the dinosaurs came in and picked everything off them till there was nothing. That's us right now. Awesome. I love that movie. I've never seen it. I didn't like that one. That movie is for kids. Eating leaves looks good. Should I worry about you? Why is that a thing I would say to my friends? He snickered. No, I'm not gonna do it for real. But I did pretend I was a long neck when when I ate broccoli one time. The 3 of you continued like this for the next few minutes. Eventually the display was buried. It looked weird when devoid of fruit. Hey, we weren't supposed to eat all of it. It did help you make it. I would feel better after eating fruit and laugh with friends. Derek was right. It was so good. You already brightened up from the earlier drama. Hey, True. Yeah? The 2 of you met eyes casually. Were you seriously gonna hit that guy? Well, he had it coming. True, that's so bad.
I mean...
I thought it was cool. He's just happy I was about to beat someone up for him.
Ugh.
Well, you're both crazy people. You knew Derek said things like that. It wasn't serious. He liked you and Cove. Yeah. Derek leaned back on his arms. He complicated the sky with a content site. So, are you both ready for summer break? Are you? How's someone supposed to be ready for a break? Honestly, that's a good question. I mean, it just feels like there's a lot to plan for. What about you, Cove? Are you ready? I think that depends. Before you could say anything else, the light atmosphere was shattered.
Hey!
Hey, True! You glanced over your shoulder to see your sister. She strode closer and closer, appearing none too pleased. I've been looking all over for you. Ma said you and Cove ran off with the thing Mr. Holden bought for us. She leered over you with arms folded. So, where is it? Well, it's gone. What do you mean it's gone? You moved to the side to face her completely. She zeroed in on a bouquet in your hands, which was now populated exclusively with skewers, dripping in juice and tiny flecks of leftover fruit pieces. Her mouth dropped open and her tone of her voice rose.
What?
Seriously true. What were you thinking? It was supposed to be for all of us at home. She glanced at Cove, who was sat beside you, and continued mockingly. Even if you did have an in with the delivery boy, this was up to Mr. Holden. Cove gave you a bent smile of sport, which didn't help disapprove her accusation. Sir Elizabeth, get over it. Well, the morning's but kind of a disaster. We were hungry. Wasn't us. The seagull came down and ate it while we weren't looking. Sure. Yeah. Elizabeth narrowed her eyes. Not at all deceived by your response. Yeah, no, it's so fake. Oh no, I think I heard a mean kid come back. We better get out of here. Elizabeth blinked, confused, and looked around.
What?
What kid? I didn't see anyone. Dirk didn't bother explaining. He just lunged to his feet and ran off. Cove hopped up too, gladly taking the opportunity to exit the situation. He followed after Derek, but he sent a look to you over his shoulder. You guys are leaving me here with her. You turned to watch Elizabeth. She stared back, brow raised. I'm running. Without a word, you two got to your feet and bolted down the beach. Unimpressed, Elizabeth rolled her eyes.
So immature.
Of course we're so immature. She shook her head as she walked towards the house, not bothering whatsoever to follow. Meanwhile, the three of you made it back to the shoreline. Derek pumped his fist, grinning in triumph. We escaped and shall live to see another day. Exactly, but we should keep moving. Yeah, for now at least. Be mad when Elizabeth tells the story. Nah, the moms would be fine. I still have to face Elizabeth when I go back home. You chuckled together, walking further down the beach side by side. You definitely wanted to stay outside a little while longer. You had gotten a bit of scolding from your moms for not saving any of Mr. Holden's gift for Elizabeth, but you didn't get any real punishment for it. Instead, while you were out with the boys, Elizabeth returned home to share the news. The three of them went to get dessert on their own. It was declared even by your parents when everyone got back and the event was settled. That was a while ago now. Later that night, you found yourself seated near the kitchen counter. Your fingers drummed on the service as you waited. You gazed strained on the phone. You were waiting for a call tonight, specifically from your cousin, Leandra. You didn't want to miss it accidentally. Your uncle, aunt, and Lee used to live many hours away. Your family only saw each other a few times a year for big occasions. A while back, though, they moved and were closer to you than ever before, so now you hung out regularly. With school being out, you're positive she's gonna come over a lot. The two of you were the same age and got along well. She used to be really fond of Elizabeth, too, but now that your sister had become allergic to interacting with her own family, it tended to be just you and Lee who spent the time together. She was your only friend who was a girl. Being family helped make you close, but you had a lot of girlfriends. Oh no. Am I a loner? Probably. Would my cousin be my only girlfriend? Probably not. Even though you weren't a girl, you befriended them pretty well. You also had a lot of non-girlfriends. No, I wouldn't have many non-girlfriends, I guess. It seemed that just the type of person you associate with most at school. Yeah, fair enough. Then a shrill ringtone announced an incoming call. You jumped, before grabbing the receiver and pressing it to your ear. Hope Resistance, true speaking. Yeah. You were greeted by a distorted, high-pitched giggle.
What?
Why do you sound so weird? Lee, don't be mean. Mom answered the phone like that sometimes. It's supposed to be polite. You should go with hi. That was something a robot would say. There was a static on the end, as if Lee was shifting whenever she was. So, can you believe school's actually over? I thought I'd never be done. Now we don't have to do any of the boring stuff, and we get to hang out whenever we want. Speaking of hanging out, Lee, can you wait a second? Let me just head to my room.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We just steal the phone, sure. You got up from your seat of the counter. Luckily, the phone was wireless, so you didn't have to worry about any cords tying you down. Your mom's had a rule about not moving the phone unless a call was in progress, which was why you had been set by its crawl, waiting for Lee to call. Your mom's could be really on. It made sense. It makes sense. Like, it makes sense. Like, you cannot just steal the phone, because if someone else calls, you may be like, I don't know, somewhere in your bedroom and you have to walk all the way back to like give it to your mom or something. It was nice to keep everything in its proper place. Also that, I would most definitely lose that phone as much as I lose my cell phone. But now that Lee had called, it was okay for you to go upstairs to your bedroom and talk to her. You made your way upstairs, smiling. After you had arrived, you shut the bedroom door firmly behind you. You took a seat on your bed. Alright, I'm here. Cool. Hey, did you know the girl down the street from me has her own phone now? A cell phone. She doesn't have to wait for someone else to stop using it or anything. Whoa, really? The thought of someone having a phone that was all their own seemed unbelievable to you. Right? I wish I had one too, but my parents said I couldn't get my own phone until I'm more grown up. I wish they'd changed their mind. We could call each other every single day and no one would be able to stop us. Maybe the phone bill would be able to stop you, but okay. How great would that be? Really great. Wouldn't I still be using a house phone? Too bad that's so far away. Yeah, it sounds great. We could even stay up late talking about whatever we want. Lee sighed thoughtfully into the receiver. At least they said I could have it someday. I can't wait. She sighed dramatically. I bet I'm not gonna get one until I'm all the way in college. Squeezing the phone between your shoulder and ear, you puffed up your pillows and made yourself more comfy. It was strange to think of a time when normal school would be over and you'd have to choose whenever or not you go to college. School was such a big part of your life right now. Studying didn't come easy to you. Though you had tried hard, you worked about as hard as most people and got pretty average result as well. You never tried much, but you still didn't do that bad. You didn't bother at all in school and your grades reflected that. Everything in class came easily to you. You worked hard for excellent grades. Now I'm gonna go with this one. Ghosting by had become routine for you. Teachers had warned you that you wouldn't be able to do that forever, but you figured it was enough for now. You felt a lot of pressure to get higher grades than you did last year. You hoped to do just as well this year, but it wouldn't be a big deal if they dropped some. Great. Sound scored this time around. Nah, this one. Grades weren't the most important thing, no matter how good or bad they ended up being. Yeah, you tried to sound engaged, but your mind had decided to go back to school despite the season. Lee knew you too well to be fooled.
What's up?
You sounded so spacey. What's up? Just thinking about school. Lee groaned. Are you thinking about how we don't have to think about it because it's summer? That's what I'm doing. Let's make a petition for more vacation time. It's so awful. I hate going. Come on, it's too scary not to think about it. Okay, but summer just started, so I would not be looking forward to it. But like a bit into summer, I would start getting bored and I want like a routine, so I want to go back to school. Let's go with this one. You're speaking English, but I don't understand those words. You laughed, aware that many kids wouldn't voice your enjoyment of school. Though I guess school isn't all the way bad. You can do some good things there. You can just do more when school's out. Learning new things can be cool. Gym is pretty great. No, I do not like gym. It's the easiest way to hang out with people not in your neighborhood. The cafeteria lunches at my school may be better than any right to be. I have never had lunches at school. Well, I have, but not like made by school. There's nothing good about my school. I just said I was looking forward to it, so that wouldn't make sense. So, this one. If I didn't go to school, I never meet anybody new. No one really comes here. Uh-huh. Oh, do I have to keep choosing? But that was all. And learning new things can be cool. I just wish everyone did okay with how they thought things. Not just some people. Oh yeah, some teachers are like great, but most are not that great or like all the way terrible.
Me too.
Me too. Yeah, but that was all. And that was pretty much everything that could be good about school. Okay, point taken.
All right.
Now I agree the topic of school is officially closed. We have to talk about this summer first, before we start plotting the rest of our lives. I've got some plans already. Oh, tell me. I'm gonna visit my cousins. You chuckled, of course. What, something you want to do? The first thing that comes to your head. I want to spend time with people. I got some new art supplies, reading. I'm gonna catch up on movies and TV. Probably I will spend time on the beach. There's a lot of new things. Reading. Let me know if you read anything good, unless it's scary or sad. Sure. You leaned back in your bed, settling in as you continued chatting with your friend. Even though it hadn't been that long since you saw her, and you'd be seeing her soon, you found plenty to talk about. For one, the events of the day, you sat up straighter. I was with Cove and Derek today, and we met a new kid. Like at the neighborhood? Mm-hmm. His parents are visiting family, so it sounds like he'll be around for a little while. I don't know how long. What was he like? Mean. He kept snapping when all we were trying to do was talk to him. He just kept being rude to everyone. But especially Cove. It was awful. I don't think I want to meet him. You want a boy to stay away. You want a boy to stay away from you. You want the boy to stay away before even meeting him? That's an unexpected twist. Your cousin was pretty popular with the boys who knew her. She seemed happy enough to have them around until they started to annoy her. Who are you to talk? Cove and Derek are always around. They're both boys, you know. That's true. It's not the same. They're not always around. I'm not the one who invites them. They just show up on their own. You weren't able to say anything to that. I'm not inviting them. They just show up. Lee laughed at your response, deeply amused. Even though she couldn't see, you shook your head at her, grinning to yourself. There was a stomping noise approaching your room, heralding the arrival of your irritated older sister. She flung the door open and frowned etched on her face. How long are you going to hog the phone? Glancing at your watch, you realized that your quick call had gone on much longer than anticipated. Elizabeth held out her hand, the other one locked on her hip. She noticed the realization on your face. Time's up? Gotta go, see you soon, okay. You sighed and say goodbye to Lee. Sorry for being long, I'm still using it. No, get out of my room. I'm just gonna say goodbye. Lee, I have to go now.
Bye.
Okay, see you soon. Tell Elizabeth and your moms I said hi too. You barely pressed the end call button when Elizabeth whisked the handset from your fingers and began dialing someone new as she strode out of the room. Your mom's voice called from downstairs. Hey, has anyone seen the phone? I'm using it. With that, she shut the door behind you. Oh, your door behind you. Wait, behind her or behind me? What? Okay. Silence was left in the wake. That was one way to end your first day of summer break. Sometime later, it had gotten dark outside, and you had laid in your bed, wide awake. Your window rattled all of the sudden. Startling you badly, you flinched, staring over at it with furrowed brows. I swear to God, Cove, if you're trying to break into my room... From your vantage point, you saw only the moon and open sky. You were... curious. What had caused that noise? Coking your head, you sat up and moved closer to the window. You wanted to get to the bottom of this. To your utter shock, your gaze was met by a pair of familiar ocean blue eyes. Cove, not gonna lie, it's kinda creepy you're trying to sneak into my room at night. Cove. You squinted. Yep, Cove was right outside your window. Your house was very angular, and some parts stuck out further than others, so theoretically, wouldn't be hard to climb around on. Still, just because someone could didn't mean you expect it to ever happen. To his credit, Cove was doing fine. His feet were braced against the section of the wall that jutted out. His arms flexing with the effort to keep him upright. I'm not surprised this kid broke his arm on a jet ski anymore. He easily lifted a hand and waved at you from the other side of the glass. You hurriedly opened the window. Cove climbed over the ledge, releasing a breath once he was safely inside.
Hey.
Hi, True. Hi. Surprised seeing you here. This sure is a surprise, but you're always welcome here. What are you doing? What's up, Romeo? Is everything okay? What happened? You're lucky I didn't start screaming. Amazing, my dreams have come true! Honestly, that's worse than like I must be dreaming. What's up, Romeo? I know that's late, but I didn't know what else to do. Oh no, that sounds bad. If I rang your doorbell, I know your moms would have answered and they'd just make me go home. I didn't really want to explain why I was coming over anyway. I don't want to talk about it. Oh no, did something bad happen? Well, besides with you, I mean, that's why I did that. Okay, that's kind of sweet. Still kind of weird, but also kind of sweet. As unexpected as this was, you were touched. Cove felt like he could tell you what was wrong. I might have tried calling or something, except my dad was on the phone. Cove suddenly looked very cross. Dad, he was talking to my mom, still is, probably. You raised your eyebrows. Cove had eavesdrops on his parents' phone conversation. You shouldn't have done that. Eavesdropping is bad. I would have done it too. You didn't comment on him. I'm not gonna comment on it. There are other things to talk about. Are you going to stay with your mom for a while again? Every year, Cove was sent off to live with his mom for a few weeks. When it happened, varied. Sometimes he would go during winter break, but usually he went during summer. Even though it was hard news, when you found out he was leaving and you missed seeing him those weeks, you understood. To your surprise, however, he shook his head. That's what I thought too, but no, that's not what they were saying. My dad asked my mom not to have me leave this year. He said could stay with us here. You waited for him to continue. He didn't. The conversation abruptly dropped off. You couldn't help but stare at Cove. There was a complicated mix of expressions on his face. What did your mom say? She told him she'd come. I know she's coming soon, before school starts. Oh. You had heard Cove talk about his mom a lot over the years. He'd tell you about the past memories, or what happened while he was visiting her. Still, it was one thing to hear about someone and another to actually meet them. Very soon you were going to see Cove's mom in person. Interesting. You were taken aback by the news, so you could only imagine how Cove felt. You looked over at him. He was pacing across your room, his features painted with red. Before they barely stayed in the same room long enough to have lunch. Now we're gonna be all together again, the three of us, after all this time, just for a few weeks? I know I should probably be happy that they can talk to each other now. I'm just confused and freaked out, and now I feel really bad for feeling this way. No, that's fine. Your parents, like, screwed you over big time, buddy. True, it's so... His fist tightened and his eyes became misty. I shouldn't keep getting like this. It's been a long time already and I'm not a little kid. Though he wouldn't meet your eyes, you knew he was waiting for you to say something. There's nothing wrong with feeling bad. That is hard to deal with. Yep, we can deal with this. I'm sorry, Cove, you know I'm here for you. That's a lot. I didn't know what to say. The tense lines of Cove's shoulder eased. Thanks, that makes me feel a little better. Like I'm not freaking out for no reason. A momentary silence fell over the two of you. You marveled at how the day started. You had woken up urged for summer vacation, but now things seem so crazy. The mini debacle with Mr. Holden's gift. New addition to the neighborhoods being so rude. And as if that all wasn't enough, now Cove's mom would be living with Cove and his dad again. For a few weeks, we should add. Your whole life was kind of like that, it seemed. Complicated and hard. And different? Why couldn't things just get better with time? True. The sound of your name said quietly pulled you from your thoughts. Cove raised you to concerned.
Are you okay?
Are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. You meant it. Yeah, I'm okay. You didn't meant it. No, I'm not. I don't know. Well, me? I'm more worried about you. Things are kind of bad for everyone, huh? I guess so. Cove grinned reassuringly. It was small and delicate, but you knew it was genuine. He had come here, conflicted and upset, only to end up worrying about you. He really was a great friend. You know, I think I don't want to talk about anymore about this. He looked away, his lip thinning into a line, and he rubbed at his arms. But I kinda don't want to go back home either. Could I stay a little longer? Just doing something else? He appeared equal parts hopeful and vulnerable. How could she possibly turn him away? You can stay tonight, but we shouldn't make a habit of it. I've got a flashlight and some cards. Are you in? Of course, you can always stay here, Cove. He can always stay here. He is our friend. You held his gaze confidently, hoping your words got across to him. Oh, he smiled! Cove perked up at your response, a smile appearing on his face. You immediately took a seat on your bed, not afraid to get comfortable in your room. You felt a little better at the sight. Somehow, you still had a lot of worries, but you were glad he was here. And not just tonight. You were glad he came into your life in the first place. That was a change you would never want to undo. Who would have thought Cove would mean so much to you? You certainly hadn't in the beginning. I mean, I went into this knowing it was going to be kind of romantic. So, yeah, no, I knew. I knew. I most definitely knew. You had kept your distance, and so had he. Now you considered him to be one of your closest friends. That's really close up, okay. You joined Cove on your bed, taking a seat across from him. He smiled at you again, and you could tell this time it was half-hearted. He was still easy to read. Though he didn't want to talk about his mom and dad, he must have been thinking about what happened and what was about to happen. You smiled gently at him. You put one hand on his shoulder. You patted him on his back. You took his hand in yours, you knocked him with your foot. Nah, just hug him. He deserves it. He went through a lot. You moved closer and wrapped your arms around him. It wasn't much, but you hoped your contact helped even a little. I'm a hugger, by the way. I like physical contact with friends and people I know well, so like hugs is like a thing I do a lot. Cove froze up. Startled after a moment, his arms came up and he returned your hug. The two of you remained like that for some time. He might have mumbled something to you, but it was too quiet to tell what it was. When you pulled back, his expression had softened into something more natural. The conversation was stilled and broken often by silence at first, then both of you were able to get into your usual candor. As your secret hangout session stretched on, you thought that you truly wanted to keep having moments like this with him. You hoped the day would never come when life decided that the two of you would have to part ways. You knew Cove felt the same. Is that like what's it called, foreshadowing? Are we gonna have to leave him? We promised we weren't going to leave him. You opened your tight eyes, groaning as they adjusted to the bright light that was streaming through your window and warming your peachy skin. I have peachy skin. Right, I choose peachy because pale was like really, really, really pale. With a loud yawn, you rolled away from the sunlight and blinked a couple of times, clearing the sleep from your eyes, before realizing with a start that it was actually morning. You couldn't remember even falling asleep. Cove had crept through your window during the night, and the two of you had spent time together, trying to not wake your parents. You must have fallen asleep while you were hanging out, but couldn't put a finger on exactly when. You wondered how late Cove had stayed before heading home. You rubbed your face and yawned again, complicating whenever you should get out of bed and get ready for the day or stay snugged a little while longer. Until your gaze landed on an instantly recognizable mop of pale green hair and you pulled it upright and gasped in surprise. So he didn't leave, he also fell asleep. He never left, he was still here. In the morning. That's gonna be great conversations with the parents. You laughed out loud, you jumped out of bed, you froze. Cove. No, not scream, not scream, it's an exclamation mark. I'm gonna laugh. We're gonna laugh. He'd fallen asleep while sitting on the ground and precariously leaning his head on the side of your mattress. With your laugh, Cove's eyes snapped open and his head slipped from its source of support. He didn't stop going down until he smacked right into the floor with a crack. Ow! You clamped the hand over your mouth and looked down at him with the white eyes curled up where he landed rather ungracefully. Ow. You laughed even more. Are you okay? Shit, my mom is gonna hear us. You helped him up. We're gonna help him up. Here. Cove complied by putting his hands in yours, and you helped him back into a sitting position. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm alright. If either of your moms found out Cove had slept here last night, the two of you would be in big trouble. Cove blinked at you a couple of times, his eyes growing in panic as some thought that only he could hear settled in his mind.
Oh my god!
Oh my god, I fell asleep. You weren't exactly sure what to do as you watched Cove pace your room, looking around frantically. Cove stopped mid-step and you wanted to ask what he had been searching for, and you guessed he wouldn't know what the answer to that himself. Despite that, he hadn't calmed down completely. The atmosphere was still frazzled. It's going to be alright. We're going to be in so much trouble. Just calm down. Settle down, my mom will hear you. You didn't say anything. Let's tell him to settle down. Cove nodded, his shoulders tense as he fixed you with a firm stare with his turquoise eyes. Letting out a heavy sigh, he ran a hand through his hair in expiration. He couldn't look at you again as he spoke. I will see you later. You were confused by how all of this had played out, but hoped it was true. Right, bye, Cove. At that, you were suddenly wrapped up in a tense embrace. Aww! As he panicked as he was, it seemed to be something he couldn't forget before leaving. Thanks again. You're a good friend, Drew. I am. I'm a great friend. He firmly whispered the words into the top of your shoulder. But you were let go before you had a chance to respond or even fully react. In a matter of seconds, he had climbed out of your bed, over your bed, and opened the window. A cold breeze rolled off the ocean, fluttering through Cove's hair and filling your room with its salty scent. Cove fearlessly stepped out onto the ledge. You wished him luck. You rallied him to keep going. You said he sneaks out of the door and said, I'm wishing him luck. Good luck. Be super careful. You weren't sure if he heard you or not, but he kept going along, one foot in front of the other, with increasing speed, until his form disappeared out of the sight. You stuck your head out the window as far as it could go to try keep watch. He walked to the full length of the ledge before jumping down on top of the garage, then lowering himself onto the bench. From there, he finally dropped down onto the ground. You threw out a thumbs up at him at his successful climb. You ran off towards his house without stopping, disappearing behind the side of another building. You had to admit that you were pretty impressed at how doable he made that look. I would have broken so many bones falling down. With a little sigh, you reclosed your window. Deciding there was nothing more you could do. You hopped off your bed and got ready to head downstairs for the day. You put on your slippers, you checked yourself in the mirror, you made your bed, you just left. We're just leaving. It was too early to do anything else, and we stayed up way too late. You took the stairs, slowly attempting to mask your face into a look of innocence. You were sure that someone would have come into your room if they had heard anything strange, but you couldn't be too careful. You had to play it cool. We're gonna be so obvious, aren't we? When you stepped into the living room, Elizabeth was there, tapping her finger on the counter. Good morning, Elizabeth. She looked at you immediately, her eyes squinting at the greeting.
Why?
Why are you being so weird? Yeah, we're extremely obvious. You hadn't even done anything. Your best sister never missed a beat. Unfortunately. You turned and offered a tight smile, and her lips pursed even tighter. True. You shrugged it up, you clamped up. Wouldn't you like to know? Sorry. You excitedly blurted out. You folded. No.
Duh.
I would. That's why I ask. You shrugged, non-communicable, determined not to tell her a thing. Further suspicious squinting occurred as she waited for something. But ultimately, she rolled her eyes, and you weren't sure if you were in trouble or not. She didn't seem to care enough to dig any further. Whatever. And then she walked straight to out the front door, letting it slam shut behind her, and you let out a brief sigh. Elizabeth went out most of the days to hang out with her friends from school around town. Today you were extra glad for it, though you were also grateful she hadn't left the house any sooner and risked running into Cove. It looked like you were getting away with that. Isn't this dad like gonna know he wasn't home last night? Breakfast was eaten in peace and alone. Your moms were both out by the time you had gotten up. They had left you a serving of fruit from breakfast they made. Hash browns and omelette, fruit salad, sure, whatever. Fruit salad, and there were a few sausages links. You took a bit of everything. You passed them some parts because they weren't the things you liked. Some parts because you're trying to avoid meat. Nope, not that part. Trying to avoid animal products. No. I liked part. You appreciate that there were variety in the meals your moms made. The parts you did have were tasty. The day lazy drifted by at home, and eventually your parents returned. You pulled open the fridge again, lingering in the frosty air for a moment or two before grabbing a bottle of ice-cold water and taking a long drink. It was perfect balmy summer afternoon, and you had decided to head outdoors and find something to do. You hadn't decided what that something was just yet, but you were sure something would pop up to occupy your time. As you were heading out the front door, you paused for a moment. You hadn't seen Cove since he had left that morning, and you couldn't help but think about what had happened to him. Would it be bad to go over to his house right now, or to call him to check in? You stepped out of your house, still stuck in internal debate with yourself, when a voice caught your attention. Hi, True. Confused, you looked over to where an unrecognizable woman was waving at you. A friendly smile plastered on her face. Is this the mom? You racked your memory from where you might have seen her before, but nothing came to mind. Not your school, not from the country club your mom took you to. You had absolutely no idea who this woman was. The woman crossed the road towards you, and you were a little unsure whenever you would stay put or go back inside the house and lock the door. That's most definitely probably the mom. Oops, I'm sorry. Was that presumptuous? I have heard about you, but you have no idea who I am, do you? You shook your head as you removed her sunglasses to reveal sparkly blue, ocean blue eyes. All of a sudden, she seems a little more familiar. My son lives here, and my ex too. With a bent smile, she lifted a hand to point at the condo across the street from your own house. She was Cove's mom. You didn't know why you hadn't realized sooner. I did realize sooner. You're just slow. Now that you gotten a good look at her. She seemed nice. She seemed sort of strange. She looked really young. Oh no. It made sense that she was Cove's mom. She felt so different to Cove. She was super pretty. She is super pretty. This beautiful lady was Cove's mother? Wow. I just remember I said let's not like call our friends that hot, and then I went like the mother is pretty. To be fair, we didn't grow up around the mom. No matter your thoughts on her, you still felt taken aback that she had appeared here so suddenly. Cove mentioned she was coming, but you hadn't got an impression it would be the very next day. She extended her hand again, this time for you to take, and you studied the manicured fingers in front of your face and the assortment of bracelets that dangled from her wrist. I'm Kiara. Please, you can call me Kiara. We're just shaking the hand to be polite. Uncomfortably, you reached out and took her hand, and she shook yours firmly, grinning wide. I'm true, but you already know that.
That I do.
That I do. Cove mentioned you to me before. It's nice to officially meet you, True. Cove talked to you about his mom? He hadn't even mentioned how he said a thing about you to her. Probably because he didn't want you to know. What has Cove said about me? What are you doing here? Nice to meet you too. You kept quiet. I'm gonna know what he said. Oh, I can't tell you that. I've already said too much. Aww. She laughed good and naturedly. You couldn't be happy about that answer, though. I might be comparing them about like looks, and it's mostly just the eyes, to be honest. Maybe she has dyed hair though, but I think I remember the dad having the colored hair he has. The sound of the door opening and closing got both of your attentions, and when you turned towards the sound, it was to find Cove exiting his house, his eyes skimming the ground. Considering just how tall he had grown, you kind of figured his mom also would have been tall, but she was much more on the short side, for an adult anyway. Cove's height must have come from his father.
My baby.
My baby? Okay. There you are. I thought you were gonna keep me standing out here all day. You tried to catch Cove's eye as he walked towards you, but his gaze was firmly fixed on the sidewalk. When he finally crossed the road and looked up, he gave you a pitiful look. After the way he had acted last night, you knew he must be feeling pretty mixed up about this. You tried worstly to express you understood. Cove and I are heading into town to grab something to eat while the snore is at work. Kiara beamed at Cove and ruffled his hair, which only seemed to upset him more. You assumed the snore she was talking about was Mr. Holden. Hey, you could come with us, True. I'd love to get to know you better. Yeah, you should come. There was a pleading in his tone that you couldn't miss. Of course we'll run by your parents first. Responsibility and all that.
Any whoosies.
It will give me an excuse to meet them, which I need to do at some point. It's important to be neighborly if I'm going to be roasting on the street for the time being. Any woozies, let's go. I'm getting kidnapped. Kiara walked ahead towards your house, and you hung back with Cove. Moo crinkled his nose as he watched her.
Sorry.
I'm sorry about her, but I really do want you to come. I don't want to be just the two of us. Not right now. You leaned in closer and whispered while checking around for anyone might hear. What happened? Did your dad know you were gone? Cove shook his head and sighed heavily. I was so focused on Mom showing up that he didn't even notice. Oh, that's not that great parenting. I thought when I heard them on the phone last night that it was something they were planning on for the future. This morning Dad said it was supposed to be a surprise, and I guess I was surprised. She's gonna be here all summer. Oh. You were surprised to hear that too. Cove sighed again, even heavier. I will go with you. If you want me to. He smiled, his shoulder relaxing a little in relief. Thanks, that'd be cool. The two of you headed over to where Cove's mom had just knocked on your front door and stood behind her. Mom answered the door after a minute, her eyebrows lifting in surprise at the group she found in front of her. You realized that, like you, she wouldn't have no idea it was Cove's mom who has been hanging with you. However, after blinking at the woman a couple of times and looking between her and Cove, the realization seemed to strike on her. Hello there, I'm Pamela.
I see.
Pamela? Pamela, ooh. I see you've met my kid, True. And I'm guessing you already know Cove for a while. Kiara laughed and you and Cove exchanged looks about your parents' weird sense of humor. I'm Kiara Preach, Cove's mom. Jeez. It's so nice to meet you. In a head of purple-brown hair caught your eye as Ma popped up behind Mom, squeezing herself beside her. We have company. I was wondering what all the commotion was. She grinned excitedly at Kiara. The two of them introduced themselves and shook hands.
Hello.
Hi, True, Cove. Oh, Grot. Hold up. Cove smiled at Ma shyly and she gestured a hand towards the living room. There's no use hanging around in the doorway. Why don't you come in? I'd love to, but I promised to take my son out to eat and I wouldn't want to hold you up with a surprise visit. I understand. You're welcome to stop by any time.
Of course.
I will take you up on the offer when I can. Count on it. Would you mind too much if True went with Cove and I? My treat. We wouldn't be driving. Just a quick walk down the road. Sure, that sounds nice.
Have fun.
I hope you all have fun. You gave your moms a look and they smiled at you fondly. You were happy they were letting you go. Yeah, no, we're happy. We can spend time with Cove and help him in this situation. We're happy. We're not gonna complain about that. You could tell Cove really needed the support and you were ready to be there for him.
Marvelous.
Marvelous. Expect us back in an hour or two. We will look forward to seeing you again. Take care. Your parents waved goodbye to the three of you as you backed up onto the street. There was the sound of the front door closing behind you. I'm pretty positive I saw some restaurants when I was in a taxi, not too far from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of them around. The answer was straightforward and the tone was curt. Cove was usually more light-hearted than that. Kiara put hands on her hips and smiled at her son. Well, you sound like the area expert. Do you have any recommendations for a nearby place? Not really. Kiara prouded at him a little and turned to you instead. How about you, True? Wanna point me in the right direction? Not really. Sure, I have a couple of... just gonna nod. You've been to a lot of places in town, so you know a lot of good ones. There's a Chinese restaurant that me and my family go to all the time. It's my mom's favorite. There's a lot of tropical themed places that tries to be sort of fancy. Both sounds like a treat. I will leave it to you to pick for us, since Cove is going through a phase over there. He huffed at her and turned his face away. Dude, you're gonna have to help me make a decision. I can't do this on my own. It's okay, Cove, tell us which one you want more. You mumbled sulkily, willing to reject this mom, but not you. I like the tropical place more. That's what I would have gone for too. With the 2 votes in favor of one restaurant, it seemed it was settled. We can go there.
Thank you.
Thank you, True. Will you show us the way? You nodded. taking the leads of your little group as Cove and his mom followed behind you. Together, the three of you left the neighborhood behind. Okay. This has been going on for a while, and I don't really feel like there's an ending in sight. And my throat is really starting to hurt from all the talking. So I think we're just gonna... Oh, save it here. Read like the last thing I accidentally clicked through. The walk was about 50 minutes. And along the way, Kiara asked a lot of questions about the area. Cove was quiet most of the time, so you ended up answering her instead. Okay, we can read that next time. I saved, right? That's me being nervous about closing and losing everything I just did. But yeah, I don't really feel like there's an ending in sight. So we will be continuing the story next time I'm gonna stream this, and I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope you guys had fun, and I will see you next time. Bye bye!